3, 2, 1.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Desync podcast. I'm going to do the intro today because it would take us 14 intros if Berks was doing it. So we have Morphologis with us today. It is 7 a.m. or it's 7 a.m. for him. It's 8 a.m. for me. 8 p.m. for Morphologis. So Morph lives in Taiwan. So in order for us to do this podcast, we had to record a little bit early today, and yeah, we appreciate you being here, Morph.
We do,
and we appreciate all the love with the podcast. This is kind of actually a surprise now to me and Berks, like how well it's been doing and how well it's been received. So
yeah,
as always, it's up on podcast platforms, so check that out if you guys haven't yet. And yeah,
if you guys don't know Morph, he's like one of our favorite I think the best Star Citizen YouTuber for sure, like hands down.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, and I think your work speaks for itself. If you guys haven't seen Morph, he does the architect reviews on YouTube, and I think that is beautiful. He's someone who used to work in film, beautiful cinematography, especially in a game like Star Citizen where the camera controls are not always kind for anyone who has messed with the camera controls before. And so really impressive work from him. I think really good insight. I don't think that I've ever disagreed with any of your architect takes, like with the Gemini or like the Antares, or like anytime like there's been like critiques to like certain stuff on chips, I've always been like, yeah, I completely agree. And so when it comes to like design, like even like your new video where you talked about how to build chips in Starfield, it's so funny. Literally,
I watched that video multiple times.
Morph, I'm not joking. So like me and my girlfriend have like his and her setups like right next to each other, and I look over at one point and she's literally watching your video. She doesn't know that I know you. She's watching your video and she's like, I just watched this video, it's like really helpful. And I was like, I know that guy. So it's like so funny.
That video actually, strangely enough, if I look at my YouTube history from when I started doing YouTube, and by the way, this like yesterday was my YouTube anniversary from when I started doing YouTube.
Oh, dude, congrats.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
How long?
A long time now, actually. It's got to be, man, I think I started it back in 2016. Earlier than that. No, wait. Earlier than that. Maybe it was 2012. But I didn't I opened my account, but I didn't post videos yet. I didn't start it like I'm suddenly Morphologis. No, it was just I started it and then I started doing videos at some point. But anyway, so like in the entire history of my channel, that Starfield video did the best I've ever had.
Really?
For video. Yeah, it's like by far and away, it exploded in a way I never anticipated. So yeah, it's pretty wild. I can't believe how many people watched that video, and it's still going up. It's going to be a 1 million+ view video for sure.
That's crazy. Yeah, I caught it really early, so I didn't realize that it has been doing so well. That's awesome. Congrats, dude.
Yeah, and then I did a second video right afterward to talk specifically about the ship in the thumbnail, and that did super well, which is completely unexpected. Again, it's like lightning striking twice.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, dude. I think, when it comes to, I guess design videos, and because your Cyberpunk video you did a while back did really well. And
extremely well. All those videos continue to get views too to this day. Like they're all close to, one's like 600, one's 700, one's 1.4 million views. Like those did extremely well. And it's not exactly a space game. So I actually personally love Cyberpunk. So like I'm super happy that people liked them, because that means I think I can do some more Cyberpunk videos.
Yeah, Phantom Liberty coming up.
Yeah.
So some really cool
super
opportunities.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, I just reached out to CD Projekt Red, and they just got back to me. So I might get a review copy.
That would be awesome.
Hopefully before the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome, dude. Yeah, congrats on that. So for a lot of people, like they know Morphologis, they know that you've been like a pillar in the community for a long time, but most people don't know like how you got started. So what did it look like, you getting started in this? Did you back before you made your first video? Did you, were you interested in the game for a long time and then you jumped into content creation? Like, how did that start?
The story, let's go back to the beginning. So the name of my channel is actually based off of my my capstone project name for architecture. And I just needed to choose a cool name. And it was Paramorphogenesis, and I just took Morphologis from that. And Paramorphogenesis doesn't have any specific, like I made its own meaning. It's not like you can't find it in the dictionary. Neither can you find Morphologis. So it was just kind of a cool name. It had to do with something that meant something to me. So I made it. And then the first videos I made were... They were on DayZ, because I was watching Frankie Frankie 1080p on PC. I mean, like you guys probably know him, right? Like, he was like one of the most famous YouTubers like 10 years ago or what have you. And like it kind of inspired me to make some really good content. So like I wanted to try making content. Nobody really cared because that space was already full. And then PlanetSide 2 came out and I want to do some content on that too. Well, not came out, but like it was popular. So I made some content on that and started to get some traction. But where I really started to grow was when I started creating content on space engineers, which I still love to this day, but I don't play as much, unfortunately. But it's like a building game. And I really started to like learn video production then and like proper like framing, because then I actually partnered with 2 other YouTubers, which I'm friends with to this day. I started the Armco community with, where we made like this scripted series in episodes where each of us had our own perspective on the story, and we would post every single week, which was an insane schedule. I have no idea why we thought we could pull that off, but we did. It was the most insane thing I think I've ever done, and even to this day, I don't push myself that hard for YouTube, because that was like every waking moment of every day for a year with no free time, doing like scripting and like setting it up. And we even actually had to hire people to help us set up the set pieces and stuff to make sure like everything was going to be ready for us to film and record and stuff. It was insane. It was like a full production.
Wow.
But yeah, like that actually like shot me up like to 50K subscribers, which was a lot for me at that time. And still is. I would say that's a lot. And after that, I moved to Taiwan, and I kind of quit YouTube for about a year. Went through a rough patch there in my own life, my personal life, and then I got back into it. And then from there, I am where I am now, doing Star Citizen content. The reason why I focused on Star Citizen content was 2 reasons. I couldn't play Space Engineers anymore with my friends because they were completely on different time schedules. One's in the UK, one's in the US. So like trying to get all of us 3 together is like almost impossible. Yeah. And I had already done like a Star Citizen video. Like, so what's this cool game? This was back in like this was during the Gamescom presentation where they showed off was Delamar for the first time. That was like, oh man, this looks freaking cool. And I bought a freelancer from that video. And from there, I started making a little bit of content, still doing Space Engineers content. But then like after I moved, I was like, I went full on doing Star Citizen content because I thought it was really cool. And
I was really there live for that. And
oh my God.
Were you?
Yeah, and I mean, you could hear me yelling in the crowd and stuff. I've never been so excited. It was cool.
It was really cool.
Copiumed up, dude. Yeah.
I mean,
that was one of the biggest events they did, for sure.
At that time, there was nothing in gaming like Star Citizen. Like the fact that you could have like fly doing a planet was like mind-blowing. Like it's so commonplace today. We're so used to it. We're so jaded. Everybody's doing it right to some extent. There's this whole thing with Starfield and not doing it exactly like people wanted or whatever. But everybody's trying to do it right. So, but then like you have to, contextually speaking, like it was mind blowing for anybody who loves space stuff. And I was like, I love Space Engineers. Here's a space game. Looks like they're trying to do something amazing. And I was ready for it. By the way, I had heard of Star Citizen before that presentation. But during that time, if you remember, Elite Dangerous was actually announced. And they both had the same similar vision. And I was like, all right, which one do I want? And I actually backed Elite Dangerous instead. I mean, it was an early backer.
Yeah, that was a good decision.
It was the one. Yeah,
that was
because
a good
decision. I mean, it was at the time probably because it had a product that was playable earlier. So like a lot of the early Star Citizen streamers, they built their channel up a little bit in Star Citizen, and then they pivoted to Elite. While Elite was hot, and then grew from there, and then grew and grew and grew, and then Elite fell off, and they tried to come back to Star Citizen. That didn't go as well. But at the time, it was like not a bad move to pivot. It was just maybe you needed to stay a little bit more in the Star Citizen space than just focusing on Elite or whatever. But I mean, I actually at the time wished that I'd moved to Elite. Because it was, I mean, come on. I mean, it's frustrating to play the game now. No, I mean, today, maybe. Today, I feel that way.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm kidding.
In retrospect, they didn't make all the right decisions. I mean, they definitely built a game, but you can see with the how it's kind of trailing off now in an unfortunate way. It's really sad. It's actually kind of heartbreaking. that they've just not inspired people as much as they have with Star Citizen. Is little of a product there is as compared to Elite Dangerous right now.
Yep.
People are still more excited about Star Citizen right now, I would say, than Elite Dangerous.
Yeah,
So
it's hard to make space games. Like that's something
it
that
is. Yeah.
that people really. I think that the general audience, like general people who play space games, don't understand. You know,
No,
and
it's so hard to communicate that. I mean, like, we follow Star Citizen now, and I think we have a way better understanding of how expensive and complicated this stuff is. So whenever we see somebody coming along and saying, "Hey, we're going to build the next Star Citizen," we kind of just like, "Yeah, okay, sure."
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
totally.
and everyone's like, "This is going to be the Star Citizen killer. It's going to do everything Star Citizen does." Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Like we have yet to be proven wrong on what we know from Star Citizen. So yeah, I think what Frontier ran into is just the wall that is standard development, where you have a set budget from a development studio that's not focused specifically on the game. It's not crowdfunded. They have investors to answer to, and the result is that it's too expensive. I mean, we know that from Star Citizen, it's too expensive. So that's why nobody's doing it to the extent that Star Citizen is. So
Absolutely, because it's like the second you make a game in space, your game has to automatically be space-sized, a flight sim, a FPS game. It's got to have the ability to transition seamlessly because people just expect that now. Like if you do anything less than that, and everywhere you go has to have content. Everywhere in the entire universe has to have content. Otherwise, your game sucks. And that's like the vibe that I've been getting from people who are playing Starfield.
I think that that's probably skewed to the fact that we are in the Star Citizen space more. So the voices that you're hearing are fans of this, but I don't know if the majority of people are like, no seamless travel. This is terrible. Like worst game ever. 0 out of 10.
I think
right.
I think that the narrative on people who talk on the internet. No, I think that's the narrative is for like the talk shows and like YouTube commentary stuff that people are saying, but like the silent majority of gamers who just want to play a game don't watch YouTube, don't care what we think.
Yeah.
They're just going to play the game they think is fun, and Starfield looks like a fun game. And guess what? It is a super fun game.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody else is like, hey, why aren't you doing this? But that's because that's in this YouTube space that we listen to. So it seems like that's the wider narrative when really people don't care.
Yeah.
But I mean, like on that point, like, I mean, it's kind of it's a ridiculous thing to have expected that. I think I caught that quite early that they weren't going to be doing fully realized planets, but
it seemed that way. At least after the Xbox Direct, I felt like I had all the information I needed personally.
Yep.
And so walking into Starfield, I was I guess I wasn't underwhelmed, I was overwhelmed, like still to this day.
Same.
I'm like, man, I still don't know what to do, like I feel like I have so much, but yeah, I totally get it, and if they ever release a Starfield 2, I would love to see their hand, I guess, at a seamless universe in terms of like maybe just like seamless space travel and then also seamless flight, and then maybe if there's a loading screen on atmosphere exit, that's fine, but I mean, who knows, that's gonna be 10 years from now, right? So still out before Star Citizen, but
we'll see. I mean, Microsoft just obtained, well, not just, but they bought Bethesda, and since they bought them, they haven't had a big hit, and this is their big hit, and this is like the biggest hit. So for Microsoft, I think they're going to be saying, do more Starfield, please, because we know that's going to reliably give us more return for our investment.
So
I
you're
think
not wrong. I think 10 million players, they said.
So far. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, like No Man's Sky had 10 million players total over the course of its entire history.
Oh wow.
Till now. So like that's a lot in a short amount of time. It's going to be one of the best selling games, I think.
Game Pass
in
is
history.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's for sure too, right? And I'd made a tweet that did terribly because nobody cares about negativity, I guess, obviously, because I made a point of, if you do the math and go, okay, there was $100 package, a $300 package, and like a $70 package to get the game. If you just put it at the lowest number, that's $700 million. In like 3 weeks, Starfield made more money than Star Citizen made in its entire history. Right?
Yeah.
In 3 weeks. And all it took was releasing like a game that isn't that like monumental in terms of tech. It just took releasing a game.
It's almost like releasing a video game can make you money. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
almost
really
like making a game could make you money.
With
It's super
loops
weird.
and like things to do and stuff. Yeah.
Imagine
Crazy
that.
how that works.
That's crazy.
Loading
How are you...
screens don't sound so bad to me now, you know?
Yeah, no, it's like, and I tell people that is like infinite maps don't mean infinite content, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how are you guys feeling about Star Citizen currently? This isn't a Star Citizen podcast, guys, but it's something that's hot in people's mind. They just released a patch yesterday. Today is September 20th, and we've got 320, and there's mixed feelings about it. What are your thoughts, Morph?
Yeah.
I think my video.
Okay, never mind.
Sorry.
My video that I made at the beginning of this year that people gave me shit for. Excuse my language. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to swear on this podcast. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. Don't you fucking
swear again, Morph. I swear to God.
Okay. Well, you don't. I don't know some of them. Okay. Anyway, I made another slow year, and people gave me so much crap for that video, and I feel like I was right on the money. There hasn't been a big headline feature this year. There hasn't been that big tangible thing that the wider community, the silent majority, has seen. And 320 doesn't change that.
Patch 3.20 fully loaded, guys. Come on.
They've got a lot of things.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, like I could talk to my regular gamer friends, and they're all gonna say the same thing. It's like, so do we have pyro yet? What's changed? Well, it's basically the same. I don't care that I'm not gonna play it yet. Just like tell me when you guys get to another star system. Like literally right now, it's been 10 years. Star Citizen is a meme. The only thing that the wider community cares about is there actual tangible progress? I'm sorry, but like an arena commander update's cool for us, but for the wider community, they just don't give a shit. So
to be honest, I don't either. Right? Like, sure, I might play arena commander here and there.
I hope DJ's not watching.
Gun Rush is fun. Like,
it's really fun. Like, look, I have had a blast on Gun Rush. Like, I've played it 3 times on stream now, and I am absolutely enjoying it. Like, it's amazingly
off
good.
Stream. That's how much I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I play it on my own time. Like, I was watching Berks yesterday, just playing Gun Rush, and my wife comes in. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm playing Star Citizen. Leave me alone." Like, what the hell? She was confused because she's like, "Wait, I can't compute. Why are you playing Star Citizen and not streaming?" But
when your wife thinks Star Citizen's a meme, I mean, that kind of says something.
My wife's they start clipping her and posting her on Reddit and shit now, because she makes like the funniest jokes about it. She called it playable concept art, and everyone everyone went off on it and posted on like both Star Citizen Reddits.
God, that's so funny.
Amazing.
Yeah, but the thing for me is I was really disappointed with this patch. They come out, they say that there's an initiative for quality of life, and you see it, they do fix a few things, and it's like, wow, that's really awesome. And then they push this patch to live with all the issues that exist, every possible career, so refueling, cargo hauling, mining, and salvage all have major game-breaking issues with them. Sound issue is a huge problem.
It's completely unplayable with that sound issue. I had to actually play the last half of my stream with no sound because it was just
Berks has a workaround
terrible
for you.
I have a workaround,
but it's still ridiculous that you have to do this.
So there's a combat timer in 320, which great update for
good
that.
Quality of life there, right?
That's
Gotta
huge.
Give credit.
It's flawless, by the way. I've tested it thoroughly. So until it breaks again in a future patch, it's flawless currently. And so basically all you got to do is like punch your buddy in the face, or probably not shoot them, punch him in the face, combat log quick, join back on him, and it's fixed. It takes like 20 seconds to do. It's annoying, but
if you're not playing with somebody, you could just shoot at an NPC as well.
Shoot an NPC
like a bounty, you know?
Yeah, and then but you'd have to join back on the same region you were on, or you wouldn't get back on the same server. So that's the workaround. It's annoying, but it works. But yeah, totally. That I cannot believe they pushed that live. There's some issues with the whole C that I don't know if they got resolved. No. And these are like, this is crazy coming from, this is like their flagship for the patch, right? This is like when they released Salvage and the Reclaimer was just completely broken. Like that's their flagship for Salvage. And so this just like really surprises me. So I am disappointed. My saying is 320. It's better than 318. So at least it's better than that. I have been playing it last night. I haven't opened it up today, but I will tell you guys that I got messages from multiple PvPers saying, have you tried combat yet? Have you tried combat yet?
Yeah,
have
they're all saying it's great.
Apparently, hit reg is feeling really good, and combat just feels really smooth in this patch. I don't know why, but I haven't tried it myself, but apparently it just feels like shots are connecting, which is something that hasn't been the case for a while now. So I don't know really what's going on there. It needs investigating, but I think it's a mixed patch. I think if they just would have waited a little bit,
just a few days
or another week.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they release it in the middle of the week. They usually release it like kind of weekend,
Friday.
Don't they?
Well, it's like
Friday.
My thoughts is we're a month away from CitizenCon, and they want to do a .x patch. I don't know why. That's their mindset, but that's what my thought is.
But it's weird. I actually think
.x patches fixes the problems in the one that you released early. It's like, what are you going to bring to the patch then?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if there's this much intention behind it, but maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Maybe they're thinking, we still don't have enough people on PTU. Let's just release it and say that it's released, but it's actually a PTU patch.
Which is basically like 318.
So you can test it before CitizenCon.
Yeah, so they can test it before a lot of people start playing it, which, I think that's probably a good thing if that is indeed the case, because they do need to get as many people in as possible. If they really want to see if PES is actually being fixed by any of the things they're doing, they need the absolute most load they can throw at it. Otherwise, we're just going to be in another 6 months of 318ness, and that would suck because... Yeah, I've completely lost interest in playing because, invisible people and like desync. It's just terrible.
Still there, by the way.
Yeah, I've heard.
The only problem with that sentiment is that I don't think we'll see the numbers that we saw with 318 until a 4.0. I think
Me neither.
they lost a lot of trust. They lost a lot of faith in their community on the way they handled 318, and I don't think people are coming back until something major happens.
What sucks is that, well, honestly, if they implement server meshing early before 4.0, honestly, I would be super pumped for that, because if they release it with 4.0, it would be 318 all over again, most likely.
It probably should be in the Stanton system first, like around each planet, before they ever do a jump point.
I'm not saying there's not going to be problems, but I do remember the engineers saying that PS was actually harder than server meshing for them to pull off.
That's what they said.
Let's
it
hope
was
that's
most
the case.
of the work.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's the case. But yeah, I don't know. I think that Star Citizen, obviously a really slow patch. My hope is that this being such a slow patch means that 321 is going to be full of stuff. But
I hope so. I mean,
we'll see.
That engineering stuff they talked about, like at the beginning of this year, end of last year, we've seen or heard nothing about it recently, which gives me pause. I'm not sure if it's been shelved or not. That's had me so excited that we're going to actually get some mechanics in the game. And then like bounty hunting version 2 as well sounded so interesting. Where what happened to that? Persistent hangers and halves were supposed to be this year. That was originally on the roadmap, if you recall.
Right.
Just like what happened to that. They talked about it just at an ISC, but yeah, it's just been a really rough year.
It's been on the roadmap a couple of times now.
Yeah, it has been. It's kind of, again, another meme.
Yeah, no, for sure. I watched a video on all the times they've talked about persistent hangers yesterday. It was actually really good. It like dated back all the way to like Aaron Roberts talking about, or whoever that was. I actually don't know what he looks like.
Galgot's a legend.
That's him?
The guy no, that's the guy who posts the videos.
Oh,
he basically okay, so there's a database somewhere. I forget who handles it, but basically for like a whole year, a couple members of the community went back to all their video content and put it into a spreadsheet under listed under certain categories. So if they ever talked about it, they would clip out the timestamps of the times that they spoke about these things and threw it in that database. So Galgat is just like regular dude, goes to that database, types persistent hangers, and then grabs all the clips from it and makes a YouTube video from it. And then uh yeah, and then I react to them, and it's awesome because they're I just there's it is so insane to go back like every time it'll be like 2013 not so bad, and then the closer you get to 2016 the comments get more and more and more insane until you get to 2016, and then it blows up with a nuclear bomb of insanity comments, and then it all starts to calm down a little bit from after that. Still crazy shit that they say, but it's much calmer. But you watch their progression of just like absolute ridiculousness leading into 2016 because that year was so insane. I don't know how else to say it. That was the most ridiculous year I've ever been a part of.
Next year, Star Citizen 1 year away.
That was the only year that Star
Citizen.
There was a comment in that video made in 2013 that said, "When Star Citizen comes out in 2 years."
Oh God!
From the development.
Oh God!
Yeah. It was like Jesus. They've been doing it forever, man.
Yeah. 2016 was the only year Star Citizen was 1 year away. You know, it's 2 years away every other year.
True.
But
answer the call, guys.
So Morph, a lot of people don't know how you got started in architecture, and something I'm really interested in because that's like a huge part of like who you are. So we know how you got started in Star Citizen, but like, was this a dream of you, like yours always, to like be a part of architecture, or was it like something that you like found along the way?
I don't know. Like since I was a kid, well, a little background, my dad has always been like he's always owned his own business. Like at first it was like cutting lawns and doing snow removal, and I would help him when I was a kid, but then he did a lot of construction, and so I was a little bit interested in that, like kind of helping out with the family business in that way. But the other thing is like since I was really young, I really love Legos. Like I love building things and doing creative things, like making things from nothing. And like I would spend hours just like making cool different like spaceships and stuff in the basement with like this big bin of Legos that we had. And I never would follow the directions of any of the sets unless I really, really liked a set. Like I would just throw it away and like do what I wanted with all the Lego sets I ever got.
Oh my God.
So
your parents were probably pissed.
No, they were really happy. Well, they were really happy.
True.
Like, cause like my mom
so
even, I built this like really cool pagoda, like architecturally semi-accurate pagoda in like color coded correct. And my mom still has it and she keeps it on her like mantle, which is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, like that's I think how I got started really. And then when I had to choose a career, I guess it was like, oh, it's architecture seems like a really good fit. Well, actually, first it was mechanical engineering, and I did mechanical engineering for a little bit in high school. I started taking night classes to get ready, like because I wanted to go to a university to do it, and I wanted to be prepared for it. And my dad had me sign up for this, or he encouraged me to, and I wanted to. So I took these courses in mechanical engineering. And I found out that I really didn't enjoy it that much, actually. Most of what we were doing was talking about part design and like, I knew because I lived in Wisconsin, I'd probably be working for Briggs & Stratton, which is a really big company that makes lawnmower engines. And I really didn't want to do that. I mean, like, as cool as that might be, like, I don't want to like downplay it. And you make a ton of money too, I should mention. Like, it's a really well-paying job. It didn't like satisfy that creativity. And like, I noticed I was in a lot of concrete block, windowless rooms, and that's like where engineers live. And I wanted to see a little bit of the light and be a little bit more creative with my work. So I decided to switch to architecture, and I don't regret it. I really, really enjoy architecture. So
what made you think, like, what was the moment that made you think of the switch? I mean, you and I have talked about it a little bit. Is I found my interest in architecture through oops, we screwed up with me and my college advisor. You need to take a class in order to graduate. So here's this really easy class, architecture. Go take that. I was in literally my last class on the day I graduated college. So, but then I found out that I was like, I really enjoy this. I really think it's cool. And I wish I found that on my first day of college, because maybe my life would be a little bit different. But well, I'm happy with my life, but yeah, the but I would maybe be doing something different. But what was the moment that was like, yeah, this is why I'll pivot, or I don't
I
know.
guess because I went to a technical college to start off with before I went to university, because I started when I was in high school, and that that tech college had architecture classes as well, and so I decided to start taking architecture courses. I actually already completed like a certificate in engineering at that point.
Okay.
And like I said, I wasn't sure I really wanted to go forward with that. It didn't really drive me as much. I wasn't as interested. I could do it, but I wasn't as interested in it. So I went and took this course with this practicing architect who we were just talking. Basically, we're doing like basic level drafting and design, and the architect started talking about like the intention behind his floor plans. Like he always arranges a window across from an opening to extend the space outward. And that was like, oh, that's very interesting. Like there's a lot of thought that went into it. So there was a mechanical component to it. There was a know-how to it because you had to understand, spans and regulations and stuff. So there was still a mechanical component that I enjoyed, but there was also this creative component with it as well that was a little bit more intangible, I guess you could say. There's no way you could calculate design in the way that you can calculate an engineered device. So I just thought that was really cool because it was more like Legos a bit, I think, because I didn't like following the directions. I liked exploring what could be. And so I guess that's where I kind of was able to be a little bit more free with my my creativity. And at that point, I think creativity is something that you kind of develop over time. It's something that you have to keep doing in order to become better at. You're not just immediately really good. I look back at my old stuff and was like, wow, that stuff's garbage. What was wrong with me? So it was from there on I started developing my design skills. So that's I guess that's how I started. And then I went to university, went to UWM and got an undergraduate, double majored with Chinese as well because I had to take a language. It was required for my degree. I was like, I don't want to forget this like Spanish. So I was like, I'm going to commit. I'm going to actually go all the way. I want to learn this language. And I actually did. And now I'm in Taiwan. So that led
worked
somewhere.
out for you.
It did work out.
Actually, I heard you speak Chinese just before the podcast, and I was like, oh, I never heard him. I didn't know if you were fluent or not, actually. And I was like, oh, okay.
I figured that he was, but yeah, that's the first time I've heard you speaking it too. That's so crazy. I'm dyslexic, so I barely speak English well, to be honest. But I wish that's a skill that I really wish that I had. One of my dreams is to like try really hard to learn another language and then go to that place and spend like a month there only speaking that language. I think that would be like insane. I think that'd be so cool to just be like fully immersed in like that place, that culture, whatever. Would be so cool. So it's I think really cool that you get to do that every day. So
yeah, cool. It is really cool. It's challenging though because I wouldn't say that I'm absolutely perfect with it. There's some language that I never learned in university that I need to use for architecture. So there's a lot of specific vocabulary to that and regulation related stuff, which is not. It's like technobabble kind of language. It's different than spoken Chinese, so it's harder to understand, and I need to use translators or ask for help for some of this stuff. But I know most of the regulations now, and I've been trying to continually develop my vocabulary for architecture as I'm here.
God, so, it's such a complicated language.
Yeah.
Continue.
How did you end up in Taiwan? Like, 'cause obviously Wisconsin, Taiwan.
Well, it goes back to. It goes back to the language decision. So like I was really interested in Japan since I was a kid, and I had glanced in the Japanese class and it was packed with people. And I was like, oh man, all right, well, I kind of wanted to try something a little bit different. So I was like, all right, what about Chinese? Like there was hardly anybody there. I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Seems like why is nobody here? All right, I'll try it. And like most of the people even quit that class afterward, even though it was a small class by comparison because it was so hard. Yeah, like the Chinese program at my university was so tiny, which is weird because at that time China was still it was still growing. Like everybody knew that it was going to be a big deal. Being able to speak Chinese is gonna, whether you're working for the military or you're like working in business, like there's a lot of different reasons why you might want to learn Chinese.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really, really interesting. So yeah, went after that. But anyway, so like part of the program is You study abroad if you continue on with the program. So if you go past this, the minimum that they require you at my university to get your degree, they say, all right, you should study abroad for like a semester to a year.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, where do I want to go? Well, I'm not really so interested in going to China because I was a little bit worried about going to China. And my teacher was a Taiwanese, and she was like, you can go to Taiwan to study. I was like, all right, cool. I'll go to Taiwan. That sounds fun. And I went to Taiwan. And at the time I had a different girlfriend who wasn't my wife, and she was like my language partner. So they had multiple reasons to be interested in going to Taiwan.
she's like, don't bring her up.
I can making me giving me the stink eye right now.
Yeah,
all right. I didn't marry her, all right? This is my ex-girlfriend. So anyway,
we hate her. Honestly, she's the worst.
Yeah. Don't talk. We don't talk about that. Anyway, like I had multiple reasons to go. Initially, it didn't have anything to do with the relationship, but that's why I ended up staying afterward. So like after I went and studied the second time, I went to look for jobs and stuff to see if there was any opportunities in architecture. I found a really good one. Came back, and then the relationship kept me in Taiwan. So and I'm here ever since. And I enjoy my job, and I love my life with my wife. So plenty of reasons to stay.
Yo, funny.
Would you ever come back, given obviously the world situation?
Honestly, like the world has changed so much since I moved here in just these 5 years. And you might say, well, wow, Taiwan sounds dangerous, but like, mass shootings have gone up so much, and I don't want to get too much into things that hit home too hard for people, but it's a reality that we all as Americans have to deal with when we're in America, that mass shootings happen so frequently right now. Like when I was in university, I remember like often getting emails every other week that somebody got robbed at gunpoint. So watch out at this and this block. There are people preying on students here, stealing their laptops. Watch out. And then a little bit later, towards my master's degree, there started to be home invasions. People were breaking into other people's homes and stealing stuff at gunpoint. I know maybe people will say, well, maybe it seems like it's getting worse because there's more news covering it now, but I actually think it has gotten a lot worse. And they also got our healthcare system and stuff, which is like the most expensive in the world. You go get an x-ray, like my dad had to go get an x-ray. It's like $5,000. It's ridiculous. Going to the ER is like $10,000 plus. Like if you have to take an ambulance for any sort of reason, it could bankrupt you. Even with insurance deductibles, it's insane how expensive our healthcare is. And here it's partially covered by the government, and you pay into it, but like I can go see a doctor at any time I want, and they have the same.
Check this one out. This one was fun.
So it's great.
My wife broke her toe.
Yeah.
And we have health insurance through her job and everything, and we look for, because it was pretty bad. So they were like, yeah, we got an x-ray, it's broken, not much we could do, go see a podiatrist, whatever the foot doctor is. And we go to look for anybody in our coverage, 60 miles, not a single one. So we just have to go and pay out of pocket, because there's nobody within an hour drive that will cover under our insurance. So like, what's the point of even paying for it anyway? So it's nuts, man.
Insurance
she has
really
an appointment
sucks.
Tomorrow, actually.
As someone who like, I'm self-employed and I'm not married, right? So I'm not like tacked on to anyone else's insurance. I'm completely without it, and so I haven't been to a doctor in literally like 10 years. Anytime I get sick, I'm just like, well, it's ride or die, baby. And then not only that, but also I just went and saw a dentist for the first time in like 6 years, and they were like, we're so surprised that you don't have like gum disease or something. They're like, you must have taken like really good care of your teeth. And the reason why I went and saw them is because one of my back teeth was chipped. $2,000 to get it fixed. $2,000 to get it fixed out of pocket. And I didn't even do everything they wanted me to do. They were like, you have like these small cavities here and whatever. And they're like, yeah, it's going to be like $5,600 for everything. And I'm like, I'm good, bro. What's a cavity? Who cares? Like what's wrong with a little cavity?
I mean, we're starting to delve a little bit into it, but it's part of the problem with our healthcare system too. Is like, you're so afraid to go to the doctor because of how expensive it is. You just let things that could be caught early on go, and later you pay for it pretty badly. But what can you
That
do? I mean,
happened
like,
here.
it's terrifying. So yeah, it's great. Like I can go and see the doctor if I have any kind of issue that I'm suspicious of, and I do, and things get caught. So
Absolutely.
Also, Morph was able to get a GPU during the GPU crisis. Like,
which
It's
yeah,
true.
by the way, is amazing because like a lot of the major, like Asus is here, Gigabyte is here,
TSMC.
TSMC is here. Like make like 80% of the world's advanced semiconductors. So like it's pretty cool. Like when it comes to tech, they're stacked full of shelves. Like during that GPU crisis, like the entire shelf was packed full of 3080s. It's like I took a picture of it. I just went to a store and grabbed one by hand. It's like, I'll take that one. Thank you. All right, cool. I'm going home. Putting it in my
I don't
computer.
know.
It was amazing.
Do I want that one up there? Or do I want that one up there? Like that's got to be a nice feeling. But I think the lesson to learn here is that nowhere is perfect, right? Like, and this is why like I hate talking about like politics on my stream, is because people will be like, my Democratic or my Republican senator, blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah,
blah.
I'm sure we're gonna get some comments, but like, who cares?
This is what I like to tell people. Is like, dude, they all suck. Humans just suck in general, you know. And I've like given up on living in a perfect place or living in a perfect world, because when it comes to humans, it's just like everything downhill from there. And obviously, there's good people out there. I'm not underselling that. Obviously, we're on the podcast with good people. But when it comes to people who are in charge, for some reason, it's like the worst kind of people who just want money, power, fame, who like rise to the top.
It's a human failing, and it's everywhere. There's corruption and greed everywhere, and it corrupts our entire world. Yeah, unfortunately, and like we're entirely paying for it for us normal people, and none of us are in the top 0.1%, are we? So we're not. None of us are multi-billionaires. Yeah. Not Elon Musk. So we're all the fodder, right? So
that's what I would say, right? If you want like a perfect life in a perfect place, you got to be, fuck you money rich. And that's about it.
I want to say, as good as I make Taiwan sound, like the healthcare system is amazing. The public transit system is like probably one of the best in the entire world. You could pretty much eat off the floors. It's that clean. It's incredible. Like they don't allow you to eat, and people actually care about keeping stuff clean here. But it still has a small amount of poverty. That's not the big issue. The biggest issue is real estate prices. So like a lot of people look at real estate as an investment, and on a small island with a little bit of like not that much place to buy a house, like the real estate prices are, I'm talking New York levels, and the income is not New York levels for a lot of people. So most people now can't afford to buy a house. They can hardly afford to rent. So a lot of people are actually, and this is not even just here, like it's happening in California and New York,
Florida
too. People
in China
are living together
it's a
now.
Huge problem.
Yeah. We're going back to like, turn of the century Victorian era, where people had to chop up houses into little tiny apartments to be able to afford to live, in a house with a roof. And that's kind of the direction a lot of the world is going, and Taiwan is included in that. Like I think a house, like 650 square foot house could cost you over $1 million here. So easily, over $1 million US dollars.
3 of those. My house is 3 of those.
Yeah, my house is like, where I live is about the size of like a room and a half I had at my house in Milwaukee. Yeah. And it's like $1.3 million. I didn't buy it. I'm renting it. So I can't afford it. Like it's insane.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Like, it's majorly comes down to what you said, which is investment. And this has been a rising trend in the US over the last like decade. It definitely happened before then, don't get me wrong, but over the last like 10 years, you've seen an exponential growth in people who have decided, I'm going to do because this is what they don't really have, like a proper stock market in China. And so what was happening for a long time is people were doing what you're saying, which is, and I'm sure it's happening in other related countries as well, like Taiwan. But people were buying property and as an investment, and it got so popular that people were going like 5 ways in on a property that didn't even exist yet. They were like, here's a bid for a property that doesn't exist yet. And that's actually the issue right now, is that a lot of the companies who build the homes that are like promise homes that people have invested in with the hope that they'll go up in future or appreciate in the future are not being built because they're running out of money. And so they're not
the corruption. I know actually a lot about this. There's so much corruption in that system that a lot of the money gets siphoned away from the funds to build the structure. So they're constantly relying on the next proposal for the next building to be able to fund the previous building or the building before the previous building. And so they're always in this, like they're always running before this tidal wave that if it catches them, they're dead. And then, this has happened with a number of these big investment companies in China where it caught up because of the global economy going down and people not having enough income to afford stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's not as bad here in Taiwan because it's regulated and they put up regulations to stop that, but it's still happening. And the thing is, it's happening everywhere. And it's a self-fueling problem because, big investment companies and individuals even, they put their money into this and it affects the economy. In a way where people have this money in the economy, people have this money in these investments, and if those investments go down, it could really severely detrimentally affect the economy. So if you just suddenly take that ability away from people or drop those values, then the market value goes way down, and people lose all their money. So what do? It's a big issue.
Complicated problem. Yeah, it's a very complicated issue. It's a really complicated problem. The best time to do something about it was 10 years ago. Second best time, I guess, is
definitely
right now. But it's a ticking time bomb for sure. And not just in Taiwan, not just in China, but the US too. And definitely where I live is been majorly affected by it. I live in Austin, which is probably the most, well, I mean, maybe aside from Dallas is the most metropolitan area in Texas, but it's expensive here. Probably, I would actually say definitely more expensive than Dallas. And it's been crazy. A statistic that someone ran by me was that 30% of homes in Texas are bought but unoccupied because they're bought by companies
Blackstone and all that shit
who aren't even turning them around and trying to sell them for a profit. They're just sitting on them. They're like,
yes,
okay,
that's happening here too. You can go to some of these new projects and you'll see 10% of the lights on in the entire building at night.
New York City also, a lot of the new buildings
there's nobody in them. They're not even renovating them. They're not renting them. They've got so much money they don't care. They're just waiting for the value to go up so they can sell them or whatever. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
They don't do any upgrades. It's literally just it's a time capsule. They say we're not going to do any upgrades. We're going to turn the power off. We're going to turn the AC off. We're going to let it sit for 5 years and we're going to sell it for $100,000 more. It's wild.
Filled with black mold and I mean, I guess that's what happened here. You have to leave the AC on here. You can never have it.
Sure, because it's so humid there.
So humid.
Yeah.
Texas is dry still, right? So.
It's drier. It's not dry, but So until they conquer the problem, but it's I don't even blame companies or people for doing that because you make so much money out of it. Until there's regulation stopping it, I don't blame people for doing it, right? Because it's
I
why
bought my
wouldn't
house in 2011. The amount it's worth now versus what I paid for it is astronomical.
It's crazy.
And I tried to buy more homes. I literally tried to be a landlord basically because I was trying to figure out a way to get out of poker, and this was the most lucrative thing possible. And it was why wouldn't I do this? And every time I tried, so I was taking the equity out of this house and trying to get another one. And every time you're trying to get a house that could be fit within the numbers to make sense, there was a cash offer. Every single house I offered 10, 20,000 over asking, and there was a cash offer that was crushing me.
Dude.
It was just what the fuck, dude?
Before COVID, it was wild. It was it was literally you would put up a house and my mom has worked in real estate for 30 years. And it was you wouldn't have to advertise houses. You wouldn't have to upgrade them. You wouldn't have to do anything. It's
during COVID in Florida,
it was bad still?
No, it was booming like crazy because everyone wanted to come here because we were
sure.
COVID? What COVID? This isn't real. I was back to work in 3 months, and within 6, we didn't even have to wear a mask anymore at work. It was crazy. So everyone was freedom, and everyone wanted to move here, but there was no housing. So it was just nuts. So people were selling their houses for way over their value. And the thing is the value hasn't gone down. It is,
and it probably won't.
It is leveled out. at the COVID prices, pretty much. I
Yeah.
can't believe what the houses are selling for here.
It's
My house
wild.
is a piece of shit, and it's like nearing 3x what I paid for it.
Yeah. I bought a house in 2018, I think, or 2017, and I recently sold it to move to Austin, and I made $100K profit on it.
Yeah.
Like, I was just in like some random cul-de-sac in North Fort Worth. Now, to be fair, I did upgrades to it myself.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I did improve the home. But it's like, still, I was like shocked. Like when my agent, which, was my mom, told me
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Well, I mean, it's like, why would I use anyone else? Right. But when she told me to list it for $100K more than I bought it for, I was like, are you crazy? Like, what are you thinking? Like, there's no way. And it sold. And we had multiple offers and stuff. It was wild. And this wasn't even peak. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a finance and also real estate podcast now. But no, it's crazy. It's just it's something that I feel like everyone has to deal with. And it's a sensitive topic, right? Because some people are like, oh yay, capitalism, like let the monster keep growing, and some people are like, we got to stop this. And it's crazy because, like, do you either trust companies or do you trust the government? And that's a hard coin to flip, right?
Yeah.
Depending on where you live, right? So it's tough for sure.
Before we move on, what's your dream home scenario? What does it look like?
Oh,
start with Morph.
I would love. No. I want to hear from Morph specifically.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer for this.
I would love a 3-bedroom home high-rise condo with a good view.
High-rise. Okay.
With a parking with 2 parking spots. That is a lot to ask for. It's very expensive.
It is. That is a lot to ask for.
I mean, you have to have
parking
dreams,
spots
right?
are the most expensive.
They're about as much as a house used to cost. So
Jesus,
it's pretty insane.
I think.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
That's it. Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy.
That just sounds so reasonable to me. Like that's so reasonable. I think it's like here. I think that would go for like a third of what you pay in Taiwan. But it's like obviously it's just the difference, right? People live everywhere. But man, I wish that wasn't such a crazy request. I've seen some of your recent interior work, by the way, the one that you did for that client that you were allowed to share on Twitter. It looks really good. It looks really good. Yeah.
That's a Moonlight project I'm working on for a private client. I'm also doing a lot of work. You can check out my Instagram or you can check out my Instagram. I have some work that I posted that I've done for the company here in Taiwan. I'm doing a lot of residential high-rise building stuff, and we have a couple of projects that are public projects, which are more like artsy, I guess you could say. There's a little bit of a mix. It's pretty cool. So I've got a big range of stuff from small single-family residential homes all the way up to massive 30-story buildings. Like that are super expensive. Like we're not making that much money. Design fees aren't that high in Taiwan, but still really impressive projects, I feel like.
Yeah. So. And we're gonna have Morphologis his links down below. If you guys don't know him, you want to check out his Instagram or YouTube or Twitter. We're gonna have that link down below, so you'll be able to click that, see some of his work. So everything that I've seen from you has been really impressive. So it's
Thank you.
It's
you get the Berks stamp.
Really cool. Yeah, I mean, again, it's like man, when I heard that your background was in being an architect, and I figured like someone was shooting your videos for you or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just it was very impressive to see, because my background in film was I worked in film for like 10 years, and so getting into like digital cinematography, I guess, or like video game cinematography was definitely a leap. But it was something that I was kind of like natural for me. So I think that seeing someone, I guess, so skilled in it who hasn't worked in film like properly is like, it's so impressive. Because
I appreciate your kind words. I really do. Yeah.
Your videos definitely look better than mine for sure. And so I don't know. Do you use like Reshade or anything?
I don't use reshade. All my stuff is
Neither
post
do I.
processed.
Yeah, neither do I.
I use the color tool, the color studio in DaVinci. I
Nice.
switched from Adobe products a while back. I still use Photoshop and Illustrator
this week.
But it's so much better. Like it saves every second, so you never ever lose a file. Unlike Premiere, where like I would lose an hour of work sometimes, and the backup would be corrupted. It's so.
This thing's
I
sick
appreciate them for paving the way of modern editing. Like we wouldn't have digital editing that we have today if it weren't for Adobe. I mean, they worked with George Lucas and everything on the first editing suite. Yeah, from DaVinci. Like this whole thing, the way this thing looks is thanks to George Lucas and Adobe. Like we wouldn't have any of this without them. But there comes a time, I think, where you get a little bit too set in your ways and not willing to innovate. And I feel like Adobe's having that problem right now with their software. And DaVinci has really come out with some solid, like a solid ecosystem of incredible. I'm not like sponsored by them, by the way. I'm just blown away by their ecosystem and the quality of this. I mean, you have one now as well. I always tell my friends who are doing video editing, if you're getting into video editing, do DaVinci and get yourself like a smart editor or like the big keyboard.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like it speeds your workflow up so much. And if you really get into production stuff and you want to save some money, like red cameras cost like what? $50,000.
But they're
depends
expensive.
On like how old it is. Like if you're getting it used, if you're getting the top of the line 8K camera. But it can be an obscene amount of money, but you can get an 8K camera from Blackmagic Design, which are the creators of DaVinci, for like a fraction of the price, and it's super high quality. A lot of people are using the Blackmagic ecosystem now.
Yeah.
And I'm great. It's great. But like it's actually made it affordable for regular people and not big studios. Because a lot of these companies, they price them with the idea that these big studios are going to pay this money because they know they have it, which cuts all of us out. Like all of us little YouTubers who basically are doing this on our free time as a hobby, So.
Yeah, totally.
So anyway.
Yeah,
I'm a weekend and I'm a fan.
Yeah, I've used every editing software out there, and like Avid and DaVinci and Premiere. And Premiere is definitely not a gem. I think I still use them, but I fall into like your category where it's like they're not innovating. They need to do something. Their software feels unreliable. I had an issue with the podcast.
Oh my, yeah, we still do, right?
It was such.
I figured
it out. So basically, it's like I'm recording these podcasts in these like MOV files essentially, and what's happening is I'm throwing them into Premiere, and I was having issue where I was exporting and it was just my audio, and I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. I'm doing all these like weird workarounds, and do you know how I fixed it? Was I switched, Mike's track was on 1, my track was on 2, and I just switched my track to 1 and his track to 2, and all of a sudden, audio's back. Like, exporting fine. Like, I was hearing it back in Premiere. Yeah, and it was like playing back on the original file, but whenever I exported it, for some reason, Premiere would not read that file.
I was having that. I remember these nightmare scenarios of like being at the end of a massive editing session for my videos, because I do to get back a little bit to my own content. I'm sure you guys know I do a lot of low frequency, high quality content. So instead of putting out a lot of videos, I put out very few videos, like four a month, so once a week, but with high quality. So I spend a lot of time editing. And when I was working in Premiere, there'd be a lot of times where I'd get to the end and it wouldn't render correctly, and I'd have to go through all of my cuts and stuff and figure out what the hell is causing this issue where it won't render correctly, and just start deleting things and ruining my edit until I figured out what the issue was. And it wasn't just that, it was crashing all the time too. So like, and it doesn't, by the way, here's the craziest thing is that they don't directly support variable frame rate footage, which is what video games are captured in. Variable frame rate, if you don't know, it's just frame rates that are not regular, not constantly at a 30, 24, or 60, which is what cameras capture. That's what regular professional production cameras use. And when somebody asked this question to Adobe, they said, we don't make it for you, we make them for professionals. Like totally look down on us through their nose like we're nobody. I mean, okay, fine, we are nobody, but Just like there's a lot of us nobodies.
You know
who
what?
use
That's
this
an insane
but they're
take.
pricing us into it.
Right, exactly, which is bizarre.
With the monthly, yeah.
You know why that's the most insane take? Because video games are the biggest industry in the world for entertainment now. Bigger than Hollywood.
Yeah, I know.
Bigger than
They
Hollywood.
make more money.
I mean, you have people out there who are getting more views every week on YouTube than the Super Bowl gets. You know?
Yep.
It's like, and people, they're going to say that we're like the second thought. All right, dude. Hey, listen, you guys do you. I mean, but
yeah.
so what do you use for like, is there like an After Effects version of, it's called Nuke, right? Do you use Nuke?
I don't use Nuke, so I don't do anything super fancy. I try to do it all within DaVinci to make it easier on me. And I never really got into After Effects, so like, I guess I could figure it out, but I don't think it's 100% necessary.
So you're using plugins
a lot of
for
templates.
like your visual transitions and stuff mainly?
Yeah, so like there's a lot of like third-party supported software. You can download a bunch of like call-outs and stuff, and then I just customize them to make them unique to me, because I don't want to make it look like I just took it from a website like Vimeo or whatever,
of course,
and put it onto my video. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. It saves me a lot of time, because I'm editing all my videos myself. I'm doing all my scripting and recording and stuff. It takes a ton of time. I don't have a whole lot of time to do like unique special effects and transitions myself. So
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I just hired an editor, and it was tough for me, because
imagine.
It's like, it's really, you know what I did for the first like 10 videos he did for me? I didn't watch them. I literally just let him upload them. I didn't watch them.
Wow.
Because I couldn't watch them and then rightfully not make critiques, right? I had to like know that if I was going to have an editor, I needed someone else to have control of editing them. And now I watch them, by the way. But it's like for the first 10 videos, I just had to say, dude, these are yours. Good luck. Here's my thoughts going in. Here's how it should look. And good luck. And some of the videos have done really well. And some of them not so well, but that's the YouTube game, right? And so it's a good feeling giving up control, but dude, I envy you, honestly. Like I
don't know, man.
Wish...
I can't pass it off then. Like my editing style, because it's so intense, the productions are so intense. I could not afford to pay somebody to do what I do and make any money. In fact, I would be paying out of pocket. And I've actually gone and asked editors, like, how much would you charge? They a lot of them, like, they said there's this much footage I'll go through, and for this length of video, and I'm going to charge you this much money. It's like, all right, well, I don't even make that money with that level of footage off of a single video. I can't, like, your mind would melt by the amount of footage I have to sift through for Star Citizen stuff to be able to make a video. So,
oh, dude,
man, at the other end, I envy people who are able to post videos successfully that don't require a ton of editing, because it's hard to replicate.
Mike, dude,
it's hard to replicate if you can get by that way, man. I mean, like, look at a lot of the super popular people on YouTube, and you can see that they have like zero editing, really. I mean, there's a little bit of cutting. No, that's 100%. It. It's just them talking to a camera, and they got millions of views. It blows my freaking mind. So,
I think it's all about expectations, right?
Yeah.
Like, your community expects the high quality edits from you now, right? The same way, like some channels, like, I don't know, for example, I think it's pronounced Kurzgesagt. They do like the informational videos. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're very well animated, edited. Like, if they just all of a sudden were like, hey guys, we're changing our style, people would be like, yo, what the hell is this? But I would imagine if you made, I don't know, man. There's so much like, this is like its own topic in general. But there's so much like, I guess, what's the word? I guess like thought process into, or theory into like, do you create a second channel, or do you like post on your main channel, or, do you diversify content? If you're going to like break out into different stuff. It's really interesting. And honestly, you know what I'd love to hear your thoughts on, Morph, is how do you feel like, because you see a lot of people, not just you, but you see a lot of people with high success on YouTube and then transitioning to a different platform, like Twitch. It's like, yes, I would say you're one of the biggest streamers in the Star Citizen category for sure. but it's not like you're getting 100,000 viewers on your streams, right?
Right.
What do you feel like the I guess the difference is there? Because you would think that like you could capture an audience that me and Mike couldn't capture. So what do you feel like
Right.
what do you feel like the transition's like going from YouTube to Twitch or like a different platform?
So like as big as Twitch seems to people, because we gamer nerds watch it so much,
Of course.
it's actually super tiny as compared to YouTube. Like the viewership numbers, even for the most popular Twitch streamers, can't hold a candle to the most popular YouTubers at all. Like with the amount of views they get. And advertisers know it as well.
Are in the 1%. If we were in the 1% of YouTube, what would we look like?
We would
be massive.
We'd be 5-10 million subscribers. We'd have crazy videos, 100K, 500K plus every single post. Like that is not that, like that's the problem, is like Twitch is small, but it's small for a reason. There's not everybody wants to watch long form, no structure content, because not everybody has the time or the preference of watching that form of content.
Yep.
They want to get to the point. What's this information I'm looking for? Cool. I'm done. I'm getting back to work. Like they want to sit down and watch a quick 5-10 minute video, be done with it.
Yep.
It seems like that's the majority of people. The majority of people have to work a job and pay the bills. So they don't have time to sit down for 3 hours and watch someone stream when they could, if they've got free time, they're going to be taking care of the kids, or if they're, the younger, they'll be playing a video game or like hanging out with their friends. Like, so, it's tough. It's tough to make that transition and expect that you're going to get the same amount of popularity. But I will say that if you're successful on one of those platforms, that your chances of success on the other are much higher. And I would say if you're successful on YouTube, your chances of success on Twitch are higher than the opposite. If you go from Twitch to YouTube, your chances of success are quite low, because that lower viewership base, bringing that over is harder than the other way. So when I advertise on YouTube to say, hey, I've got my Twitch channel, I notice an immediate uptick in followers, because people are just clicking on it and coming to watch my streams. It's harder to get them over, but it's possible. So like, it's not impossible, but it's harder. But I think having both is probably the best thing. So I don't think it's a good thing if you're a creator looking to transfer from one platform to another and that be your only focus. I would say diversify and don't ever focus on one platform, because one day that platform could be gone or become irrelevant. And then what happens? If you've chosen this as your career, this is one of the most dangerous and volatile careers that you could possibly choose. I mean,
it's true.
Let me ask you, can you think of yourself doing this when you're 60? Most people are still working when they're 60 nowadays. Some people are working till they're 70. Can you imagine being a relevant and interesting streamer or YouTuber when you're 70 years old?
I'm going to be cursing out people.
I hope so, man.
Left and right still.
So my point is it's really hard and uncertain.
Star
so
Citizen's going into beta, boys.
Prepare for the future if you're a YouTuber.
No, absolutely. And do you know what my plan is?
What's that?
I'm gonna make a video game eventually.
Yeah, some people are doing that. Like some people change their channels also into business. You look at Linus Tech Tips. That's an amazing formula. You go from doing tech coverage to having like a 300-person like company doing tons of different stuff simultaneously, and you're set for the rest of your life. Yeah, you've got to make it into something more than just the same thing if you want to survive.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll do something, but my dream would be to eventually transition. I'm not talking about anytime soon, right? Mm-hmm. But eventually transition into making a video game. I've talked to Mike about this. I want to make the spiritual successor to Destiny 1. Kind of like, Outer Worlds was the spiritual successor to, Fallout New Vegas. But Destiny 1, in my opinion, is one of the greatest games of all time. And I know it's not for everyone, but they really cracked first-person rating, and getting together with 6 of your friends and like having this crazy puzzle to like solve. That's like a 10-part puzzle to like, you could explore and, get challenged by these mechanics and X, Y, and Z. It was like peak gaming and peak friendship for me. I guess like friendship in gaming, because it was like there was so much camaraderie and like building a community through that. It was such a fun experience. You know what it was like is like some of the experiences I've had in Star Citizen for sure. Like doing the first time ever doing Siege of Orison, right? Not quite the same, but figuring that out together as a community and like beating those challenges was really cool. And I think that's something that I want to see more of in Star Citizen eventually. But we're talking years and years and years and years from now. I'll try to get some VC funding and see what I can do. But it's a pipe dream for sure. But I'd love to do it. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a great point that you make. And diversifying isn't something that you've just done in your platforms, but it's also something you've done in your content right now. Which is
and
really cool.
I am as anybody is being understanding what not to do and still avoiding doing it are two different things. Like you can still make mistakes and know you're making mistakes. And I if I want to be successful, like if I want to depend on this income, which I do now, it's not just a hobby anymore. It's become a part-time job. I need to make sure that I'm not riding all on one thing. And so diversifying what I cover, I think is wise. And also, I'm not only interested in one thing. I'd like to cover other things. It's hard to cover other things, though, when you only cover one thing, because the people are not interested in the other thing you want to talk about, even if you really, really want to talk about it. And I've noticed that to much of my, to much heartbreak on my channel, covering some other games that people just didn't care about. And it was like, oh man, like I covered this really cool little like city building game and set in medieval times, and it only got like 10,000 views, but I was so pumped about making a video on it. Yeah, it was that
it never showed up in my algorithm. What game was it?
See, like it won't, like that's the thing with YouTube, it won't even promote it to your subscribers if it's not inside what they think you typically do.
Yeah, but I don't know,
building
builders.
Games. Yeah, was it the Anno 1800 game or whatever?
It wasn't an Anno 1800. It was made by a smaller studio. It was Farthest Frontier. I made a video on Farthest Frontier.
I love Farthest Frontier.
It got the 32K views now. Actually, that was 1 year ago, and that's actually right after that I made the Star Atlas CEO strikes down video, punches down. It's kind of funny. But yeah, that like I've done little videos like that, and like because I'm really interested. And I did a cyberpunk video, which I was thinking, this is gonna do well, and it got like the most views up until that point of any video I've done.
That's awesome.
I think that video started off slow too, right? The cyberpunk.
It did.
One?
It was
I remember
really
us talking about it for some reason. You were like, and then
it was heartbreaking. Yeah.
I get that.
Me and Morph have had a lot of conversations about like the frustrations of making content with Star Citizen sometimes, and specifically around streaming it. It can be very difficult. Like, I went live before this. We recorded this today for like an hour, and I am just disappointed, man. It just sucks. It's tough. All the things that you enjoy doing don't work. So diversifying and, being able to do other things is very important to stay alive. And like for me to be able to just go live and just talk to my community or play other games lately has been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Because it's been 10 years of like, do I really have to play this game today? Because I don't want to.
No, totally. And this is something that me and Mike have talked about before, Morph, but the video that I think I'm most proud of on my channel, or like it's like I put so much effort and so much time and so much love into it. It ended up it was so weird actually, because in the first 24 hours, 20,000 views, which that's really, especially for my channel size, that's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
And then
it's really good. Yeah,
I hit 20K views, no more views. It's literally been stuck at 20K since I launched it. Like the algorithm.
What video was that one? I'm looking for it.
It may be a little bit higher than that now, but it was the No QT challenge. It was a follow up to my no ship in Star Citizen challenge, and that one did insane. And I didn't think that video was that good. Like, and it wasn't, I don't think. So I was like, I'm going to do a no ship challenge. And I did that. And I posted it, and people kept on coming to my channel, and they were like, oh, I saw your video. I was like, okay, cool. And I go check it, and I'm like, holy shit, it's at like 120,000 views. And then it like skyrocketed. Yeah, it's my most viewed video. I think it's at like 650,000 now.
No ship starter pack challenge. 1 year ago, 645,000 views. I mean, that is like that's a banger, man. There's few, like, I've got few videos that even make it that far. That's
totally. Impressive. And listen, I just had an idea and I posted it, and I guess it's just good clickbait because like I didn't even mean it for it to be.
It wasn't like it was a clickable video, but the thing is the body of the video kept you engaged as well.
Yeah, no, I liked the video.
This is a good video,
but I never thought that was my best video or anything like that. So I'm like, I'm gonna make a part 2, and it's gonna be better. And it was better. It was better content. I laughed more. It was more interesting. Cooler things happened in the video. And the no QT challenge, 20K views, it's capped. And I'm just like, man. But I hate
YouTube sometimes.
I've had some success in other videos as well. It's just like, man, YouTube is something that I'm still learning and I'm trying to get better at.
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
I think like, okay, maybe we're getting too much into the weeds with this, but I would say I think the problem is looking at your video is that quantum is a more nebulous term that's not familiar to a wider audience. So like a lot of my videos I think do well, and I've told this to all my content creator friends at some point. I'm sure I've talked to you about this, Mike. Maybe I've talked to you about this as well, Berks, separately. That I try to make content that always has some kind of appeal to a wider audience because it ends up getting more traction, and it ends up getting more traction for the people that you want or you hope will see it anyway. Like if you try to make a hyper-focused video on one specific thing, and the thing is that even the people who are interested won't see it because YouTube won't promote it if it's not being seen by a wider audience.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like a catch-22. You've got to appeal to a wider audience if you want the people you want to watch it. So I mean that's only one thing.
Dude,
there's a lot more to it.
You even saying that right now makes me think, man, you know what I should have titled it? The No Fast Travel Challenge. Like that would
exactly like if you title it that way.
Better. Yeah, 100%.
People know, like I've gotten so many questions like, can you start in Star Citizen with no ship? And it's like, no, you can't do that. But you said no ship starter pack. It's like, oh, cool. Like, what would happen if you started with no ship? That sounds cool. I think if the no fast travel challenge sounds kind of fun too. Yeah, like that I think would have been more.
Damn.
More
maybe I'll redo the video. Like I'll make a like try to redo it and then call it that and see how it does. You know?
I would even change the current title of that one and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. But
I know it's old, but you never know.
Never know. But it's like what I've been really pushing into lately, Morph, is I've been doing like story videos. And so I'll go into game. You know what I've been doing lately that's been really cool is I'll take people's bounties and instead of killing them immediately, what I'll do is I'll talk to them and I'll try to team up with them. And I've had some really cool interactions on that. But I've been trying to VoIP as much as possible lately. And you know what's going to be a really big bummer is I think VoIP is like broken in this patch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Quality
like
of life,
I've had so many people like I'm VoIPing them in game because I prefer using VoIP in game over Discord. And they're like, hey, can we hop in Discord? Like VoIP's not working. And I'm just like, So we'll see how it holds up. But yeah, that's a big chunk of my content is like organic interactions. It's like I did a video where I was like saving people from pirates, which was a really cool
video, by the way. I enjoyed watching that. Yeah,
that was so cool. And like it's so funny because like I know it's a good video when people come into the comments and they're like, scripted, this is so scripted. And I'm like, okay, cool, thanks, bro, I appreciate it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just so funny because it's like I don't think people know that stuff like that can happen organically. And I had another video that did all right too. It was like the same thing but a little better, where I was like tracking some pirates and like went down to Microtech and I found this guy that was like being attacked by these guys and they got away. He had like 8 mil worth of gold on board, and he just like barely got away. So cool. But it's like that's the stuff I live for in Star Citizen. It's the reason why I don't play other games is because I can only think of a few that really do that interaction well, which is like Rust, which is too toxic for me. Sea of Thieves, which is a great game, but it's like kind of on the downslope. Same like with Elite Dangerous, right? And then DayZ, which I've never played DayZ before, actually. I've watched a lot of it. I've never played it. I built a PC when PUBG was like on the rise. Like that was like my intro game to PC gaming. I was like a console gamer before that. And so it's like the interactions you can get from games is really what's always driven me to play them. And that's what I love about Star Citizen. It's something that I'm worried about for the future of like potential like, you know, Zerg orgs like running everything, which is like kind of why, I don't know. It's kind of why I hope that server meshing is never one shard. It's never seamless and like you can have 10,000 people in the same spot kind of deal, because it's going to force people to play with groups instead of solo. I kind of like the solo, the running around goofball interactions, but I kind of want both is I guess what I'm saying.
You'll still have an opportunity. Like every game that has Zergs has solo, like warlords as well, like people that are just like badass solo players, and and people gravitate to that content too, because it's cool. Because watching a Zerg isn't interesting, but watching somebody 1v5 is always sick.
It definitely is. It's hard to do in Star Citizen, but it's
for now. I mean, we'll see, but
yeah, for sure. Morph, I got a question for you that I would love to hear is what are your favorite video games? Like top 3 of all time. I know that I'm kind of dropping this on you.
Top 3. Shoot, that's off.
I know that's tough.
That's off the wall.
Yeah, I'll give you some time to think about it. But it's something I'd really love to hear from you.
Okay, so it's gonna be a really tough one. I'm gonna have to do more than 3 because I've got so many favorite games.
Okay, go for
so
it.
Like a game that holds a super special place in my heart has got to be Zelda Ocarina of Time from N64.
Awesome. Yeah,
played it as a kid, fell in love with Zelda, and so naturally I also love
the
more
first
recent
open world game.
Yeah, first open world game, and then that was brought to a whole nother level with Breath of the Wild. Like they kind of set the standard for amazing open world things with actually things to do within that world. Like it's not like it's big, it's awesome, and there's always something to find. It's fantastic. I love that game so much, and even my wife like loves that game. Like she got into it. So like she's smiling. Yeah, it's an amazing game. So I gotta say, like Zelda Ocarina of Time, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and now Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Like those are amazing. I love the Zelda series games. But I also love Counter-Strike 1.6. I played so much of that.
That's a turn.
Big difference. Yeah.
Me too.
It's very different. Yeah, I played back in the Cal days, and I got into Cal I for a little bit. For an offshoot during this time where we weren't sure if 1.6 was going to continue on or if it was going to go over to, I think it wasn't CS Source yet. It was that weird game they made in between. Forget the name of it. Another CS.
I can't
probably
remember.
don't know it. Yeah. Anyway. And so yeah, like I played semi-professionally for that. It was awesome. So that's definitely one of my favorite games. And then after that, shoot. I love Space Engineers.
Space Engineers is a good answer.
Yeah, because I mean, like, really cut my teeth on that one. I love it to death. Oh, Star Wars Galaxies. Yeah, Star Wars Galaxies. I've talked about
Great
that
answer.
one before. I guess in category that would be my favorite MMO of all time. And it's Star Citizen. I like Star Citizen for me is still trying to live up to that in my heart. Like I want it to be that.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
I've never played Star Wars Galaxies, but everything I hear about it was the space Ultima Online. So it's like basically that's where I would love to see some aspects of it. Obviously, there's some just things that will never be, but yeah, like
we started our community started playing again, Mike. I'm not sure if you'd be interested. Right now, things are a little bit hot with releases and what have you. So now's not the best time for me to get. But I was playing it quite a lot more before all of these releases came out. And I invite you to join us and try Star Wars Galaxies.
I would love to.
In its semi-original form. We're playing in an emulator server that's got some of the best parts of the jump to light speed, where you could actually go with your friends into spaceships and fly around in space and shoot other actual people in PvP. And multi-crew gameplay before, like 20 years before Star Citizen.
Nice.
And ground gameplay, like it was so ahead of its time.
What do you mean,
so many
dude?
ways.
That's not possible. Star Citizen was the first space game. Okay,
right? So like I love
I'm
it now
down, though.
today. Star Citizen is now my favorite. Oh, awesome. Let's do it, man. And Berks, obviously you're invited as well, but I know Mike has expressed interest quite a lot. So
Yeah.
so yeah, like oh man, it's so hard to choose. Right now it's definitely Star Citizen is still the game I keep coming back to because it's the only game that really
Excites
keeps me
you.
in the future for being excited. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like I'm going to keep playing like Zelda games as they come out, but it's not something I constantly play and I'm constantly involved with. But Star Citizen is like super special. And
how interested are you in City Skylines 2?
Oh
that
man,
looks super interesting.
Pull that one out on me. Oh yeah, man, that looks so good. I'm
that
so
looks
excited for that too.
crazy.
So many games I'm excited for. I'm excited for Cyberpunk as well. So many good games coming out this year.
Like I don't think I'm going to be playing that much. I mean, I don't play it anyway, but I don't think I'm going to be playing that much Star Citizen for the rest of the year. Like
sadly not. I mean, honestly, like as fun as some of the stuff they've added in is still not enough to like keep you around for long periods of time.
It can't keep me away from some of these games. Like that's
some
the thing.
of them are some
of these games are so cool. Like come on.
Like all the new updates with Skylines 2 with like the improved road system and AI pathfinding and like
the economy of it.
The economy stuff has been improved. Like there's so much they put into this new update. It's unbelievable. And I know that actually city planners have used this software to help plan. Wow. Like to like understand city planning better and how traffic works. Like it's that good. So I mean, even before that, SimCity was used actually, but SimCity had a really bad bias in it that was a little bit racist. Actually, it so turns out because it was based on a theory from a urban planning book that was also somewhat racist.
What the fuck?
Nice.
Yeah, so it had some policies that would have effects that were not accurate, as it so turns out.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know, but I love City. I loved SimCity when I was a kid, so I don't remember that. But I do remember
one of my favorites. That would be on my list. Would be SimCity.
Yes. So some of the like the way the cities would start falling apart was a little bit unrealistic. It was based off of some misunderstandings for how cities actually work. But anyway, City Skylines has kind of fixed that. They've kind of continued on with a better way of doing the algorithm and all the advanced calculations they do. It's really cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's really cool to be excited about video games like upcoming, and I think that's what makes like us all excited about Star Citizen. Is it's always been on the upturn. You know, there's never been a time that Star Citizen hasn't been on the upturn. It's always going to go up from here.
Probably the first year that
this year
feels like it's been a bit of a weird step back. I think like for you and the way you play, maybe not, but
what I'm saying is, could you still say that the best moments of Star Citizen are ahead of us?
Hopefully,
I don't know.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully, I think this year is a turning point because it's a lot of people are coming to the realization that it's been 10 years. I see this more and more in my comment section as well. There's this general sentiment of being just kind of, I don't know, not angry anymore. They're just kind of exhausted and they want to play other games.
I think 318 was a really big punch to the gut for people, honestly. Dude, Morph, we talked about this. Me and Mike have talked about this. We both agree, too. 318 could have been like the explosion, like the Tarkov explosion. Like, do you know what my viewership peaked on the 318 launch? 2,200.
That's insane.
2,200. That's like more than we got at CitizenCon last year. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
that's insane.
It was insane. And then it's like my viewership, even though it was a broken ass patch, I was hitting 800 viewers every day for like 3 weeks. And then
I think it was longer than that.
Maybe.
I was holding 600-ish for a long time, and it was like, how is this still a thing?
Yeah. Well, people were like, is it going to be fixed yet? Is it going to be fixed yet? Is it fixed yet? Is it fixed yet?
People were interested.
And then people were like, okay, it's not fixed. Okay, it's all right. I give up. Like,
and then just back to normal.
The technology is really interesting. I mean, I made this one video about trash is piling up everywhere and it got an obscene amount of views. I don't know. I was not expecting that, but people are just really interested in this tech and in this phase of Star Citizen's development.
Yeah.
This is kind of a make or break time for their tech pillars. Like this needs to work to get server meshing to work and everybody knows why. Most people know why. I mean, I think. And so that's why I think it got so much interest. But sadly, it didn't work. And that kind of was like, people are feeling a little bit kind of sick of waiting now. So
yeah.
Ball's in CIG's court now. If they want to
It is.
rejuvenate interest and funding this year, they're gonna have to pull out something more than some quality of life features. Hate to say.
And it can't be something that they show at on a video or a con. It has to be something that exists in the game.
I completely
Right, yeah,
agree.
it has to be deliverable. It has to be an actual, like, if they're going to talk about CitizenCon at this, like, some distant time releasing Pyro or something, no one's going to be excited for it like they were the last 3 years. I mean, it's impossible. You can't keep doing that and have people be excited. So the only way they're going to get people engaged is by saying, this is coming out like next month, like with very high certainty. This is going to be released. We are getting this to you guys. Then people will be pumped.
I completely
if you're saying
agree.
like sometime next year, we're not going to answer when questions. Okay, well, I'm sorry, no one's going to give a crap.
Then
It's
I'm
going to
not
be a
going to
complete
ask
flop.
any questions anymore, and I'm not going to pay attention.
Yeah.
Like that's basically where I think a lot of people are getting at with it.
Where CitizenCon is to me is until they do a CitizenCon and then over the next 12 months actually release that stuff, I won't be hyped for a CitizenCon because they've just proved to me that they're pushing out content that's not going to exist potentially ever, right? I would say that even last year, 90% of the stuff that we saw, we didn't get this year, you know? And I think that
we've been talking about Pyro for 4 years, over 4 years. So like I made a video in 2020 about what's coming in 2020 with a big thumbnail with the carrot going to Pyro. And I was like, oh man, we're getting Pyros here.
and I laughed at you probably.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
And I mean, they talked to me about server meshing in 2015.
It's just like
fuck.
It sucks, man, because it's like I love this game and I want them to succeed. But it's like, I think that they've got to do more than just hype people up. And I think people will be temporarily hyped after CitizenCon, even though it's going to be inflated. People are going to be temporarily hyped, just like people were hyped about the procedural hangers thing, even though it's been promised multiple times in the past and it hasn't been delivered. I think there's going to be some temporary hype, but if they can't deliver, like Morph is saying, then it's like, who cares, right? Who cares?
My prediction is if they don't say that they're going to give us something really soon and deliver on that, it has to be before the end of this year with something interesting. They're not going to see the same bump as last year, and this year's total funding I predict will be less than last year's, which is still going to be a lot than like 2 years ago. But it's not
acquired a company, new studios. Yeah, it's expensive,
and they've got twice as many people on the payroll now as they did 2 years ago. So actually making less is more painful than it would have been. So they need to make that money back. So they need to deliver, and that means I think they need to give us a date for Squadron with actual stuff for Squadron, regardless of whether or not they release that on time. But they have to give a date. They have to do something with Squadron, and they have to give us something with Star Citizen that's tangible and soon. And if they don't do that, it's going to go downhill until 4.0.
Yep.
Yeah,
which will get
disagree.
it upturned, but it will likely, people will just be like, okay. And especially with all the other launches out there, people are just going to play other things, which is totally fine.
Totally fine. But I want to see for me, like the reason why I care about this is because I want Star Citizen to succeed. I want it to continue on its pace of growth and development. And if they start having to lay people off, that will be really bad. And I don't want that to happen. I mean, there was some rumor of that happening. It's been debunked since, so I'm not bringing that up. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to see that happening. I don't want to hear that they're doing layoffs. So I don't think we're at that point. But I think anybody who believes that Star Citizen is invincible has got the wrong mindset. Anybody can fall.
Totally
including
agree.
Star Citizen.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's like they're most likely going to have a lower year this year. I think they're going to try to make it up. Like they're going to release like a capital ship or something at CitizenCon for sure. I mean, the whole
35-year backlog to 36.
I know, dude. I'm with you, but it's going to happen for sure. And they're releasing the whole C $500 for the whole C. Crazy.
Guys, listen though. The Hull D, $450.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why they've been like the Hull D is $450. You'll get a Hull C for I don't know if it's for sale or not though.
Oh my god.
The price
the
of it is $450.
Is also the Hull C's a loaner from the Bond and Merchantman as well. But very interesting, right? I think they'll try to make it up. We got the A1 coming out, the C1 coming out potentially in 20.x. So they're going to try to make it up, I think, but it's definitely going to be a lower year this year. But man, I get concerned. I've talked to Mike about this many times, dude. When I hear about that office and how much it's costing to build it, since day one, they announced they're building that office. I've been like, why? That sounds expensive. Like, that sounds really expensive. And I get they're trying to be like the cool dev team and pull people in and stuff, but it just feels like that was something that should have happened after their first release. Same with CitizenCon. I'm personally, I think they should have delayed CitizenCon until the game was at least in beta or Squad 42 released.
What was wrong with last year? Nothing was wrong with last year. Last year was great.
Nothing was wrong with last year. It took them way less effort. I think that, CitizenCon's a huge waste of time. Personally, I think that, it just shows off stuff that's never going to be in the game. And I'm very open to being proved wrong about that. But until CIG does something, it's just like, I don't know. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah. But just wave your finger at them. But I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of space games that are never coming out, there was a bit of controversy this week, and this is a topic that I think a lot of people are wanting to hear about from you, Morph. Is we weren't planning on talking about this, by the way, guys. We literally were wanting to have Morph on the show just to talk about general stuff and his background and stuff, and it just happened.
Basically everything that the podcast was until this moment, which is why it was the majority of the podcast. It was the plan of the whole time.
But it's like, and you don't have to give like a long drawn out answers to this, but I guess if you want to touch on it more, okay, so I guess what happened with Star Atlas?
What happened? All right. So about a year ago, pretty shortly, strangely after I made that video about Michael Wagner, the CEO of Star Atlas, punching down on Eradicator, where he did a copyright strike on his video erroneously. Not erroneous. What's the word? Anyway, you're not supposed to use copyright. You're not supposed to use copyright strikes that way.
When you don't like people's opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but not everybody. Yeah. Anyway, fairly shortly after that, I got a message from somebody else at Star Atlas. It wasn't Michael Wagner. It was actually another high up person there who loves my videos and has been watching my Star Citizen content for years, and was wondering if I would be interested in working with them to help design ships, basically. Not in the capacity as a content creator, so there'd be no obligations or anything to announce sponsorship of Star Atlas or anything, or create content on it, which was really important for me because I still, now, if you don't know, I'm very skeptical of NFT and cryptocurrency. I've always been that way. And I've made videos to that effect in the past about what if Star Citizen did this and how that wouldn't work at all, etc. So anyway, I knew that actually CIG had some people from CIG had moved over to Star Atlas, and I thought it'd be such a cool opportunity to work with them on designing spaceships in a way that I've always wanted to do. Because I've always really enjoyed talking about spaceships. I know it's not directly related to architecture, but it is somewhat related to architecture. The layout of interior spaces and the way spaces are arranged, and to some extent design is design. I think that architects are in the designer group, and they have a pretty good understanding, at least most of them who care about design. Not all architects care about design. Some just care about pumping out just whatever floor plans to pay the bills. The ones that actually care about design care about all design. So you'll see like a lot of architects like Zaha Hadid. She designed like shoes and apparel and bags, and like she just wanted to design things. And I feel like that is something that designers tend to want to do. If you're in the field of architecture, chances are, if you're a successful architect, you're really good. You love design and you just want to design stuff. And I think I wouldn't say I'm like I'm definitely not successful like Zaha Hadid, but I'm like that. I'm like her in that I love design and I want to do design for everything, and so I care about ship designs. So I really get into it.
Ships in Star Citizen at least are very home-like. They're intended to feel that way, so that they translate well.
Definitely.
Specifically, so yeah. So they obviously reached out to you. I mean, that's a big
It's a big deal. No,
yeah,
you didn't reach out to them.
And it was really, believe me when I say it was really unexpected, because I did bring up the video with Michael Wagner with him. It's like, I talked about this, and like he was really straight with me. His name's Danny, who I spoke with. I don't think I'm pretty sure I can say that he talked to me. So anyway, like we talked about this for a bit, and like he seemed really genuine and transparent about like what they were doing, what they were trying to do. And I thought that was really unexpected and refreshing. I'm not trying to look, everything I say from this point, I want everybody to be perfectly clear on this. Don't ever trust anybody, even if they sound trustworthy when it comes to like this sort of thing, because even if they're coming from a genuine place, what we're ultimately talking about is speculative investment, and speculative investment is really volatile. It entirely depends on people's perception of its value. And if it suddenly people don't think it's valuable, then it's not valuable anymore. So I do think, though, I should also add that spaceships do have some value in some way, like they are something. That work that somebody put into them does give them some kind of value. But I think that the crypto market went crazy and overinflated a lot of stuff's value.
It did.
Way beyond what it should have been. And nobody really understood where that level should have been. And so it just kept going and going until FTX like tried to run away with the money. So anyway, so yeah, like I didn't really see a problem, even though like I was up front with them being like, I've been skeptical about this. Like I don't mind if you guys succeed. It sounds like what you're trying to do is really cool. And I know that people believe in your project and they wanted to succeed. And I'm very happy for them. And I want everybody to succeed and be happy in life. And I want them to succeed and be happy and not scam people. And from my perspective, it didn't seem like that's what they were trying to do. And they're still around today. They haven't collapsed. They're still trying to make a product. They could have easily run away with the money at this point after FTX collapsed, but they didn't. And so I do think that there are people there who genuinely want to make something, and that's great. But for me, I'm giving this as context. It wasn't really as important to me. What was important to me was like the cool chance of designing freaking spaceships. Okay, like I work every single day on projects that frustrate the hell out of me for multiple different reasons. Sometimes it's the government with their sudden ridiculous regulations that they change every single year. Like this year, they changed the maximum height for a crown from 9 meters to 6 meters midway through our project. And now we have to redesign the top of the building, and the proportions for the entire building have changed. So now I have to change every single floor and redo all of that. And it's a pain in the butt. And that's only one example of many of how frustrating architecture can be. And then another thing is like, sometimes the most important thing is the parking. Like you've got to make the columns a certain spacing, because the regulation for the parking requirement in the basement is one thing, and you cannot deviate from it. You have to be 6 meters apart, and you have to have the spacing in the column be regular intervals of 250. This is talking in metric, by the way. Otherwise, you can't fit cars, and cars are super important because those spaces are like the freaking cost of houses. All right. So you got to get the most spaces you can, damn it. All the spaces. So like all of these things, trying to juggle with them for all these projects, it can be really frustrating. So working with spaceships, man, they're just digital spaceships. Like just make them look cool, right? Yeah. That's fun. Yeah. So I was like, this is a fun exercise in working with people I've always wanted to talk to. And so turns out, because they told me that they always wanted to talk to me, But for, and I'm not revealing anything that's, I think, unreasonable here. I'm not going to reveal NDA stuff here or things told in confidence. But for CIG, there's an obvious liability in having their designers talk to me when they could accidentally, inadvertently reveal information that I might inadvertently reveal that would put them in a bad position with people. Like if, for example, I accidentally talk to you guys about a ship that I know that they're working on, and then everybody gets these expectations for the ship, and that ship gets shelved or maybe canceled, because that does happen. They do go through ships internally. I don't think this is not a secret. They spitball ships. They're like, should we do this ship? No? All right, we're not doing this ship. We did a lot of work for it, but now we don't think this is going to work. We're going to do something else instead.
It's not speculative. They showed one, like this weird looking, like Argo. It looked like an old Kilrathi ship from Wing Commander.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not speculative at all. It happens.
Yeah.
Right. So I totally understand their position, and it's so it was frustrating for these specific designers that they couldn't talk to me about design, because it would have caused too many complications, and out of respect for the management and the requirements, that they didn't talk to me about it. But now we could work together on a design and put into effect the things we always imagined we could do, but only imagined and never really knew for certain whether or not our skills could combine, because it was all like, I've only worked in architecture, I've never done game development. And they've only done game development, and they're not quite sure if architecture could actually directly apply in the way that we imagine. So putting the rubber to the road, actually the practical application of these skills, was a fascinating, at least academic subject. Getting paid for it is definitely a nice thing. Like, I got paid for it. It wasn't in crypto. It was actually in money. And that's an important differentiation too.
Yep.
Because if you don't know, and I don't know why you would unless you watched a video specifically on the subject, but a lot of creators around the crypto boom prior to the FTX collapse were getting lots of emails, including me. I could go back and even find them.
Same.
Where these crypto projects were offering to pay creators in the cryptocurrency or in the in those NFTs to promote their game or product. And what that obviously is just like insider trading. You're artificially inflating the value, leveraging your viewership's trust in you to produce something that either you're going to rug pull, and if you're not smart enough to do that because you signed that contract, that company's going to rug pull on you. So if you sign, it's a devil's deal. Like, you are done. Like, if you don't take that money out right away after you promote it, that money's gone, because that's what they're going to do to you. Yep. So it's a nasty business for a lot of these games that did this. So and I think that's one of the reasons why I understand why so many people were upset when they found that I worked with Star Atlas, because content creator in crypto, that automatically is a bad thing, because the creators in the crypto space are notoriously bad. I'm not saying all of them are, but I personally have seen some of these crypto creators who are just deleting comments because they know that the negative comments will negatively affect the value of the product they're promoting that they directly own. That huge conflict of interest, that massive ethical problem of a creator covering crypto. So anyway, that's why I wanted to say this, is because I don't own anything in Star Atlas, and I think that's important as a creator not to, because it's just too dirty without the regulations to hold me accountable or hold them accountable if one of us tries to do something bad to our viewership. So in the interest of retaining trust and not being unethical, I can't in good faith buy Star Atlas and be a part of the project financially and be a creator talking about that project.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. I mean, I want them to succeed. I want to say that even though I don't support crypto, I want them to succeed because I know they have a vision. They want to do something. So good for them. I want them to do it. I don't think it's ethical for me to have bought into it. And I personally still am skeptical. So just me in my current position, I couldn't have done it. And I still am glad I didn't, because if I did, and I announced this right now, it'd have been worse, because it could have looked like I'm announcing my participation in this project, and it's a way of promoting the product to raise its value so that I can sell something.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, okay, so when you look at the comments, because this was mostly said via tweet, it was also mentioned very slightly on the Halsey video, which I would like to get into that just a tiny bit, because it was like a sort of bombshell comment that was said there for me personally. But the only kind of weird, not weird, but like, I think somewhat valid comments from people that are more on the negative side of it are saying, well, your participation in the project is endorsing it. And then so what would you say to those people making those comments?
I would say that that presumes that they're evil and that they are lying and scamming people, first of all. And that's not necessarily true. I think there's more nuance to the space than just black or white, but it's definitely easy to see it in that way, especially in the context of FTX's collapse and a lot of crypto companies going belly up and running away with the money and rug pulling. So like, I understand where people are at. I understand people's skepticism and hatred and anger. They're right to be so. They're right to be out for blood. But I don't, not everybody is trying to scam you. Not everybody is a con artist. And I don't think that they've said that they've done something yet to prove that they are doing that. So I'm not trying to defend them, really. I'm just saying, like, it's there's more nuance to it. But even that aside,
there's another creator in the Star Citizen space that made his own cryptocurrency, and all these things could be possible, but I don't think it's as black and white as everybody was making that situation out to be. It seemed like he was interested in cryptocurrency and wanted to have some fun with it and pass them out to his viewers. Like I look at it, I looked at it, I talked to him, and none of it seemed like he was going to try and do anything crazy other than just have a little goofy fun with it. I literally made my channel point currency the same thing, like as a joke. And I don't know, I just didn't find it to be that bad, but I also don't own any crypto. I don't entirely understand it. I'm just looking at like the situation and being like, not all people are super evil, you know? It's just not how it is.
And that aside, I think it's important context to the next thing I'm going to say. The things that we're just okay with, when you really analyze them, is kind of ridiculous. Like, Mike, I know you worked in the casino, and this isn't against you, but being in the architecture field, I know how they design those places and what they put, the effort and the money they put into designing it to manipulate you, to spend money to keep you there. Like, there are no clocks on the walls. There's oxygen pumped into the space. They specifically put locations and views in the space to direct you to spend more money. Even the sound of the space is tuned to make you hear other people winning, and some of it is purposefully manipulative, so that you want to.
All of it is.
Or like, no, I mean, like some of the sounds that you hear, like they make it sound like there's somebody's winning, so like maybe you have a chance. Like they're doing, like there's so many things constantly happening. It's a barrage of manipulation, and we're just okay with it. We're like, all right, cool, that's it. And why are we okay with it? Because I think most people understand that the people who go into they're grown-ups, they're adults, they're making their own decisions, and if they're losing their life savings, it sucks they got manipulated, but I'm sorry, man, you should have known better. Don't walk into a casino with what you can't afford to lose. I mean, that's the number one rule. And that would be I would say the same thing for investments. If you're doing anything with speculative investment or any type of investment, never put into it what you can't afford to lose. Imagine when you do something like that, you're lighting that money on fire, and you'll be way better off. Because you might not ever get that back.
And I think that's something that I wanted to point out, is that I think that the real issue here is that you're a Star Citizen creator, you know, or I guess, sorry, that's people's issue, not my issue, because they draw the lines there. But if you were just like an architect who happened to get this job where they were like, hey, we saw your architect work and we really love it, would you want to collaborate with us on a spaceship? Like, there would be no issue. Right. But
no architect would do it. No architect would say yes, because they have their own work and they're busy as hell. I know, I'm in the field.
Absolutely.
So the problem is, like, the reason why I got approached is because I'm well known for talking about spaceships. I have a unique skill set because I constantly talk about spaceships on a professional level.
No, absolutely.
Right. So I understand what you're saying. So I'm like, okay, because I create Star Citizen content. So the one thing that I see as a problem with that is that I have no contractual obligations to CIG. They don't pay me. They've never retained me. They've never done anything legally to make me obligated to them in any way. And in fact, like if you look at the referrals, I've sold more Star Citizen copies than anybody on the planet, twice over. So like the idea that like it's I mean I'm a traitor or something, it's just all ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm gonna call I'm gonna call it like I see it.
It's actually funny.
It's actually hilarious.
No, it is hilarious.
Yeah, but actually funny.
Yeah, my only point was that you have like I guess a foot in the door in this other community that just viciously hates Star Atlas. And I'll tell you what I tell people. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say like what I tell people is I hope Star Atlas succeeds. I say that all the time. As someone who I'm not into cryptocurrency, I'm not into NFTs, but if Star Atlas succeeds and it's good, I'll fucking play it. Why not? Like, I'm not going to say I'm going to spend $2,000 in some NFT spaceship, but if there's some, which is what they should do, by the way, they should pivot and make a $45 package just like Star Citizen and move away.
They have cheap game.
Yeah. No, totally.
I think they also want to do a play for free thing. They also just introduced, I think, okay, now I'm not trying to advertise. I heard something about them introducing earnable ships in game now
You're
too.
You're fine, bro.
Try to get people to play it to earn stuff. I'm not even sure how that even works, so don't quote me on that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like,
again, it's like they don't have a real game yet, obviously. And
right.
we don't none of us know
early stages.
Yeah, none of us know if they're going to succeed. But as a space game enjoyer, I hope they do. At least if anything for competition for Star Citizen, because we've seen in the past when Star Citizen gets a closely related game that like is like kind of in the same vein, it lights a fire under CIG. And so I would like to see more space games. It only makes games better for us. It only gives us more options for space game enjoyers. And so I do hope Star Atlas succeeds for sure. And I got to be honest, dude, if I was in the exact same position as you, somehow, some way, to get paid to design a spaceship in any space game, I would have said yes. Because the truth of the matter is getting paid to design a spaceship is fucking awesome. Like that's the truth of the matter. And anyone who's going to come at you for getting paid to design a spaceship in a video game is dumb. Because you're not promoting the game. You've never promoted the game, not even on this podcast, not through any of your, and I know you're being careful because you don't want these army of haters that for some reason hate content creators to come after you. But the truth of the matter is that it's like you did something awesome, and it sucks that there's negative connotation to it just because of something that's outside of your control.
The thing is most of the like under the initial tweet that he made, almost all of the comments that were there were all like, "Whoa, that's awesome. Like that is so cool," because what being a Star Citizen fan really does, since they don't make a video game, since the game hasn't actually been made and they take you along on the process, is everybody has really kind of grasped onto that, and anybody who's still here following the project is at least somewhat interested in the game's development or game development or whatever, right? Is they at least speak on it or write a post on it or something, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to partake in something like that in such a similar project is obviously people are like, yo, that's awesome. It really, to be honest, it really sucks that CIG didn't, because if CIG did, there would be zero drama around this situation at all, unless nerf the A2. That would be the only thing that there would be any drama around.
I completely disagree, actually. I think there would be similar drama. People would be equally as dramatic if Morph announced that he works on a ship for CIG. 100%. I feel like there would be similar drama. 100%. I think people would be like, wow, obviously Morphologis is a paid off shill by CIG and yada yada. There would be similar drama for sure.
Yeah, I guess on any other content he would make for the game or whatever.
Well, and like there would be
that
people
would complicate things for sure.
Outside of the community who
would you have said yes if they asked?
Man, I've
really
debated this.
One.
I've debated this so much. I mean, like I would have to say to them that I need to be able to be 100% transparent with my community. Like if I'm going to do this, I need to be able to let them know I'm doing this. I agree to sign an NDA. That's standard. Like you can't reveal what's the inner workings of a business while you're employed, and after you're employed, that's just the law, the way things work.
Mm-hmm.
But like being able to talk to people about it, I think that would have helped a bit. But yeah, it'd be so hard to make content afterward, because then how would you not be seen as just a mouthpiece for the company, right? So it's a tough one.
We're seeing it with the current employees now that were fans or content creators in the past. It's
right. They stopped making content because of working for them. Yeah.
They stopped making content, and it also, like, the opinion has shifts. So it's like,
right, because
once you're on the inside, you understand more, and you might be more positive, or you might be whatever, right? And then it's like, can you be trusted? And then people get all weird about it when it's not that deep, usually.
Yeah. So like, how about that? Let me give you an example. Like, everybody's gone to like a drive-through, like McDonald's, and you get your order wrong, and it's like, what the hell? Like, come on again. And you go up to the front counter, and then you see this like teenager, like this young person who's working there part-time. You're like, oh, all right, well, maybe I won't bite their head off. Like, there's a person there's a real person who made a mistake. All right, can you please fix it? You become more reasonable. When there's a human face to something, it's harder to be critical.
That's so funny. We could go we can bring it
right
back
to the casino.
We can bring it right back to the casino stuff, because the reason that when you drop this, that I was like, whoa, for me personally, is I asked myself, if I was in Morph's shoes, would I go there? And obviously we talked about this would be so cool. But the thing that I struggle with is just the things that I've always struggled with being a poker dealer. And poker is a skill game. It is not like absolute degeneracy. It can be, but it's not so casinos work as hard as they can to remove poker from them for all the reasons that Morph mentioned, with what they choose and where they choose to place things and things like that. Poker doesn't make the casino any money. It's really there for what it was put there for, was for the husbands to do something while the wives played slot machines. That's kind of what it became in a casino. And then it blew up with like Chris Moneymaker and all this other bullshit. So that's irrelevant. But what I've dealt with over my 15 years in that industry was I am face to face with them, and because money's involved, they have no shame in tearing your head apart. So you become completely disconnected to them being a human being. They become completely disconnected to you becoming a human being. And even though I'm watching this person crumble into dust right in front of you, like you're watching their life fall apart, you don't care. I don't feel bad for them. I don't give a shit. But then I do, because I am a human being, and I'm like, wow, am I doing the right thing by working here? But then it's like, but this is my job. Like, what am I supposed to do? So like, when you came out with that thing, I went through. No, I'm not hard on
myself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Yeah, I think there's only so much emotional bandwidth you have. Like, you can't care about everybody all the time, No,
that's not what I'm saying. I just basically went through that like, whoa, moment when you went there. I was like, if I was in that situation, I think most people would say yes, and I would still have this weird moral dilemma, because I've already been through this shit already with some people where like, okay, now I'm working for something that could hurt someone. And it's like, content creation is way less even though it's like a tipped industry, which is very much the same. It's way less on that front. It's way more collaborative and community, and way less, well, I might as well get the money from them instead of someone else, basically.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I guess, but the thing is with Star Citizen and gaming in general, I mean, like what you're saying is a pretty extreme example, and it does. I understand where you're coming from, but like when it comes to Star Citizen, the same thing could happen with them like you as being a creator
100%.
for so long. People are gonna hate you if the game collapses. Some people will. I think normal, regular thinking people won't be, but some people who've spent way too much money in the project will be like, you sat there, you talked to me about this project for years, and it's gone. Like, I spent so much money, I missed my rent. Well, that's
I might
on
be
you,
a
man.
different scenario. I might be a little. I have significantly less referrals than the two other people in this room for a reason.
So,
but,
like,
yeah.
for me, like, that's definitely going to happen to me if Star Citizen collapses, and I hope it doesn't. Not because of those people. Those people, I mean, I care that you lost things, but I mean, at the same time, you have to be responsible with your money.
You're
and
an
if
adult.
you're spending more money, you're an adult. Don't spend more money than you can afford. You're not a kindergarten. You're not a teenager with your mom's credit card anymore. Okay, you got to be responsible for your own finances. So, like, I'm just saying, like, with Star Atlas, it's not like I'm not trying to defend. Like, I'm not trying to get in the mode of being like a spokesperson to defend Star Atlas. That's not my position. But like, they're not too much different than Star Citizen. Like, they haven't collapsed yet, but they might. I mean, it's just like Star Citizen might. And people are going to lose money, you know. I don't know. I can't help that. That's not my position. That's not my role. I mean, hey man, I'm architect. I design things, and I designed some spaceships. I know how people want to attach a face to their feelings of frustration and loss, but I don't think that that's right.
Yeah. More people are going to lose money if Star Citizen collapses, significantly more.
Right. I mean,
and much more, right? And so it's like
I want to say. I want to make this differentiation, though, that's really important. Like, obviously, you can be upset with somebody for doing that if they had malicious intent. Like, there are people out there who are grifters who know what they're doing is wrong, and they do it anyway. I know it can be hard to differentiate between who those people are. So, like, if I was sitting here and I was telling you, buy this thing, and I know for a fact that it's worthless and it's going to collapse tomorrow, then yeah, I'm culpable. In fact, I should be held legally responsible for that. And I would even go so far as to say, fined heavily and maybe go to prison. Like, I would hope that would happen. But that's not what that's not what I'm doing here. So that it's different.
You just designed a spaceship. You know, I don't think it's that deep. Like, people have asked me probably.
And I wasn't taking it there. I was just like, I would go through that. I would go through that mental jungle gym, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because I've already dealt with it in the past, and it's not fun. So
yeah, I've had probably 30, 40 people come into my chat this week and just be like, "What do you think about Morph designing a ship working for Star Allies?" Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, who cares? You know, he designed a spaceship. You know, it's not that deep.
That was mostly how I felt. It was good for him. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I've done definitely worse sponsorships than and this isn't even a sponsorship, right? But it's like I've definitely done some sponsorships I'm not proud of in the past, which, you know, I won't name for obvious reasons. But
I'll name one. But no, maybe I shouldn't.
I'll name one. I don't give a shit. I did it. They're even asking me to do one now. I did it. I don't care. It's the same concept of, like, you're an adult, you know. But Raid Shadow Legends, like, I did that, and then Stream Elements. The people who signed up are still linked to that original campaign. So I watched, like, it just showed up on my activity feed that one of my viewers deposited money twice, like a couple days ago. I haven't done that sponsorship in over a year. But, like, you know, it's like they're still playing and they're still spending it. Can he afford to spend that? Maybe. Maybe not. But I looked at that and I was kind of like, whoa, shit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that, like, the thing is that I think that everyone should just be wary and careful of their own finances, you know? Like Morph said, when you spend money, act as if you're burning it and throwing it away forever. Because
that goes for Star Citizen too.
Absolutely.
Just to be clear, there's no guarantee that Star Citizen will survive. I mean, I said a 35-year backlog, sort of jokingly, but legitimately, that's how much work they have left to do. It's not a joke.
No, I tell people that all the time, is that only buy ships that are in the game if you're actually going to buy ships. And other than that, it's like, don't buy concepts, you know, unless you're extremely motivated to do so. But the thing is like, all that money is fake. All the ships that you earn are fake. You can earn them all in game, most of them, at least 95% of them. And it's like, unless you have a ship that's truly rare, like the Saber Raven or the Mustang Omega, which aren't even that special, then it's like,
they're pretty special. $300.
Or what is it? The Scythe, I think, or which one's the one that's rare? I think it's the Scythe.
Scythe is really rare.
Yeah. I think that it's like, aside from that, it's like,
you got one of those. Yeah. Those are like mega. Those are mega valuable now. They're crazy. And They're not like very good, right? Like they're like
No, they're
kind of
terrible.
bad.
It's
Yeah.
like a saber with 2 less guns. That's
Yeah.
and less health. It's a little bit.
They're
It's terrible.
they're not good.
And because
Even the double EMP is not good.
and
Yeah.
because so few people have them, CIG has absolutely like no incentive to fix it. So like it's been broken forever and will remain broken for a long time, I suspect.
I really feel for the ship designing team, you know, like the vehicle feature team or whatever they're called now. It's like a really tough job they have, and even implementing this is why I think physicalized armor will never get in the game, because you have to touch every ship in the game to do so. And how far are we away from
that's for everything?
Yeah, how far are we away from gold standard on every ship in the game? I mean, it's probably never coming. Most likely, gold standard will never come on every ship, just because you have to touch every ship in the game. And this is, as CIG shown, a monumental task. And so building spaceships is hard. Building spaceships is hard.
I don't think gold standards was what we thought it was. I think gold standard might be the standard they're looking for to release with Squadron, which doesn't need all the systems or something, and it has nothing to do with Star Citizen.
Definitely what it is.
Yeah, because we've been seeing ships release that are definitely not done. Like we know that there's things that still need to function on them, even though they're like at the gold standard or whatever, you know.
Sure. I guess what I just mean is like up to date. You know what I mean? Like current models and stuff. Like being able to take components out of ships and stuff. That's what I guess would assume gold standard is, for me at least. And so, or bringing stuff up to like current, like for example, the Corsair is not gold standard in my mind because the engines are totally misrepresented in how they should be in combat. One missile, dude, and like you're death spinning forever. It's like that's
they supposedly fixed that in 320, by the way.
Oh, did they? Okay, that's great.
Yeah, they said they specifically upped the health. They rebalanced the health of all the thrusters.
That's great because it needed it, right? Like the Connie moving over, like obviously you can't take components out of the Connie, but the Connie moving from that brittle ship that it used to be to its current state, I think has made it more gold standard for me. But obviously, you know, you still need to be able to take the components out and such. But yeah, it's like that's all I want is like ships to be brought up to the current gameplay standard, which salvaging's in now. So that would include salvaging the components and being able to take them in and out and stuff. So
they've got such a monster though.
It's huge.
Like they want to do free cutting in some form. They've talked about, you know, it's been in the notes or whatever for that thing. Like they got to go and update all the ships for that too. And God, like the physicalized damage model. What?
So they briefly mentioned how QED is going to work for master modes and how did you hear about this? It basically how QED is going to work, or like quantum interdiction, is that if you snare someone and they're in the nav mode, they'll be brought down to SCM speeds and they won't switch over to SCM mode. They'll have to switch themselves. So you have the disadvantages of nav mode, which is like no shields, no flares, no capacitors, with the advantage, or sorry, with the speed of SCM. And so they said that, and everyone's like, okay, cool. And then one of the other devs steps in and goes, oh yeah, and also whenever you have a Mantis involved, the Mantis might be engineered in a way that makes it more powerful to snare against another ship. And then someone else goes, oh yeah, and then also, you know, the ship that's being snared might be engineered so it's less susceptible to being snared. And everyone was like, what? And then
they know something we don't know with this.
Oh,
with this
absolutely.
Doing
absolutely. But how fucking complicated does that sound just by that little snidbit? You know, it's like you can engineer your ship to be less susceptible to a QED. Like what?
You remember when they showed us the hammerhead like layout schematic of like all the like pipes and stuff that they wanted to do and how they were only doing that to test it? Like imagine having to do that for all 200 ships. Holy crap.
Yeah. Engineer, dude, have you played Void Crew yet?
Oh, dude, this game is fun.
It's cool.
I've not,
we should play it, all three of us.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
That'd be fun. I'd be down.
It's like best I can describe it is Sea of Thieves in space with no PvP. That's what it kind of feels like.
It's cool.
And the engineering is fucking really cool. If the engineering is like this in Star Citizen, it'd be perfect. But there's like, you can build structures on your ship, like turrets and stuff, like on the fly. You can like turn things off and on. There's actual power management, like where stuff gets like overpowered and you have to like turn something off. You know,
like if you're not
you
in
can,
the turret, you got to remember to turn it off so you can use another thing
like
because
the
you're limited on
gravity.
power.
Yeah. You can't use like
It's pretty sick.
the turret and also the whatever, the grav turret thing, whatever, at the same time. A tractor beam. Sorry, my brain isn't working. But it's really cool, like kind of the management and stuff. You know, you can repair your ship on the fly. There's like pipes and stuff that burst that can like cause like damage to you and the crew. There's like actual venting systems. There's an EVA. It's cool.
It was good.
And so yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was interesting. But when I think of engineering in Star Citizen, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. And you know what the coolest part is? It's multi-crew, and every person felt important. Like there wasn't a time where we were playing it that I was like, oh, we really don't need this person right now. Like this person has no job. Every person
like
felt by, it was like, it felt like Sea of Thieves, where like someone's got to be doing the sails, someone's got to be shooting the cannon, someone's got to be, at the helm, someone's got to be doing XYZ, whatever repairs. That's what it felt like. And in my opinion, that's perfect multi-crew. That's perfect multi-crew. It's the best way to do it.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a fun little game. I don't think that it's life-changing or anything, but yeah, we should definitely play it. It'd be fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
But cool.
Dude. Yeah, man.
Mike, you got anything else?
We brought you on. That's all I got. I mean, we got our little stream coming up. So I know people will. I don't know when we'll post this. We as
Saturday.
far as you post it on Saturday. Okay.
Sure.
So yeah, it'll be not then, but we're gonna be doing a little Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Fantastic.
So,
yeah, man. So it's gonna be cool.
Hell yeah, dude. Morph. Yeah. Thank you so
man.
much for coming on, dude. We appreciate your time. I know it's getting late there. I know that taking a chunk of your time is valuable. You're a busy guy. You got a full-time job. You got a wife. You got this semi-part-time job. So, man, we really appreciate you coming on and taking the time. Yeah. You're someone who inspires us to make better content. We talk about you frequently when we're talking about like Star Citizen creators. And dude, you're a gem in the Star Citizen community, and we don't deserve you. So.
Man, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you guys, because we've been friends for a while now, I feel like. And so like I what you guys say means something to me. I actually love watching both of your videos often, to just kind of see, especially when you post like opinion videos, because I just want to see what your thoughts are on certain things. So
how often are you yelling at the screen with me?
Oh, not that often, actually.
Okay.
I agree with like pretty much most of what you say. I mean, like, we had a little bit of a disagreement with the whole season interior, but
I didn't notice it until you showed it to me, and then I was like, oh shit. Like just before we head out, there was my favorite spot of this ship. Morph in his video just tears it apart, and I was just like, oh fuck, it is shitty. Damn it. I really liked it.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I will say this. So, like, why did I mention that? We didn't get to this in the video, and this is going a little bit longer,
this is a good point to bring up, though. I know where you're going with this.
Why did I mention that I worked at Star Atlas in that video? Why did I use that opportunity? Well, I've not worked for Star Atlas for some months now. The reason why I mentioned it then is, well, one, I have been so proud of the work that I did there. I was so happy with my time that I was itching for like an appropriate time to mention it. And because I was talking about this ship, about design and stuff, and actually one of the devs that I worked with worked on the Hull A, and like I know the developers who are working there. Like I feel like I have a more intimate knowledge now of like how things work, the development process, like the issues that they face, and like specific details that you look to make better, that like I started to see things I wouldn't have noticed before. And this definitely, like the Hull C wouldn't have passed muster for usually for like CIG and like for SA Star Atlas. So like I think the issue is that, I mean, I'm going to the Hull C review. I think that's an old ship and it got like it slipped past. That would be my guess.
It's
old
like ship, and I think it's in such a weird place where they even communicated it as, we are not really truly delivering the ship and its features. We are just checking to see if it's going to destroy everything when we bring it in. And when it didn't, they were like full on marketing, fucking 35 whole C's in the video that, you know, cargo is loaded and unloaded automatically with fucking robots and all this shit in their marketing. And you're just like, bro, it's not even, it doesn't even work. And everything you're showing is listen,
Dude.
Star Citizen videos are unrealistic. This was one of, if not the most unrealistic video I've ever seen from them.
I know.
It was crazy.
Talk about scams, dude. Like, no joke. Like, I hate to give CIG shit, but their marketing makes the game look so bad. And what I mean by that is you see this video and you're like, holy shit, dude, I want to play that game. Holy shit.
Me too. When I see it, I was like, I want to play this game.
And then you open it up. Do you guys remember the No Man's Sky video where it's like, you know, the Jurassic Park theme?
Yeah.
And it's like, then the harmonica comes in and it's like, welcome to Jurassic Park. And it's showing like expectation and it goes to reality and it's like, and it's like the little T-Rex walking around. That's how it feels playing Star Citizen sometimes, because like they set up these massive expectations. Even the 15-second trailer they did for 320, they're like massive PvP battles. And
you haven't seen the new one. It's like 2 minutes now. I don't know what happened. Yeah, there's a 2-minute one.
Oh god, I gotta watch it.
It's just as bad,
dude. It's just like it's so disappointing because like I talk about this is when, and this will be, you know, we'll end on this, but you know, whenever I think about Star Citizen in 318, I think actual scam. If you were to see the trailer that they put on YouTube and watch the video, playable now, it looks amazing, very cool, and then go download the game, buy it, download it, play it, you'd be like, this is a scam. Like, actually, that's what I would have thought. Like,
what's the name of that game? Dead Matter? Not Dead Matter.
Dead Matter.
Dead Matter? Okay.
Dead Matters.
Yeah,
they're right.
It's very similar experience, right?
I was a partner for that game. Like, I played the alpha. Yeah.
I was going to try, and then I was like, no.
I played it, like, I'm talking about like 2 years ago. 2-3 years ago.
Me too.
I was a partner for the game. I played the closed beta with other people who were partners, you know, and it was in a better state then than it is now, it feels like. Yeah, it's
it can happen to anyone.
I don't know what
anywhere.
happened. I don't know what happened, but it's interesting, man. You know, got to be careful, but yeah, we'll have to see. I'm excited for the future of Star Citizen and potentially what could be coming out in 320, but for now, we're just I think we're just all kind of biding our time, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, Yo Morph, thanks for coming on, dude. A lot of fun.
Yes, and definitely we're gonna play some Void Crew. We're gonna play some Void Crew. That game is so fucking fun.
Yes, we'll have to play some. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm down like this week or next week for sure. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining again. If you guys are still listening, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment on your thoughts on any topic. We read the comments, guys. I don't reply to all of them, but I read all the comments. And like one person has convinced me to replay The Witcher 3 and see if I can fall in love with it. Because yeah, they've convinced me. They had some really good points. So shout out to you. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This episode's going to be live on Saturday, but we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for hanging. And this is the Desync Podcast signing off.
Later, everybody.